Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's the reading out weird things on stream today. Hooray! No, it's not. We're going to attempt to talk about politics, but we've been rather distracted in the pre-stream. Welcome, everyone. Must apologize in advance today. I've not been feeling very well. A bit better now, but if it flares up again, I'll have to stop. It's really, really bad toothache. If it flares up again, I might have to stop the stream early, but we're going to try and get through it. So, welcome, everyone. It's Friday. Tomorrow is the big Cabal Lord of the Rings event. So go to Billboard if you haven't seen it already. There is a link to the event. I'll post it again now. I would like as many people as possible to attend. I know some of you can't make it. I understand, but here it is. We'll be doing basically the entire weekend. Will be Lord of the Rings events in the evening. So Mark is interested. You'll get an alert when it starts. Thank you in advance. Aiden says, I would teleportal some of this fantastic codeine I've taken, but I lack the technology. Sadly, yes. Right now, I don't need painkillers. It's been terrible all day. I've had a lot of trouble sleeping earlier. But I'm here now. Yeah, Aiden, honestly, from what you've told me, your pain is probably worse than mine. So yeah, I have some news stories. We'll get to them. Let's begin though with some memes. How many geniuses are there? White America versus all of India. White Americans, 222 million of them, 0.036%, 8 million geniuses of 130 IQ or more. Indians, 1.4 billion of them, and 0.0002 by proportion, 0.28 million. So this is a pretty good argument against Indian H-1B, isn't it? Against importation of Indians in general. There are very intelligent Indians, but there are not that many of them by comparison to the stock that already exists in these countries. The reason for this is because those 280,000 Indians will probably work for less. Then again, I don't know if that's much less, but the idea is that Elon, for example, and unfortunately I think he is a prime example, but there's others too, want cheap geniuses. And unfortunately, it's not like they're barking up a tree that doesn't exist. There is something there if they can get them first, but it's still bad for many other reasons. The Fortune Post here says H-1B is just a scam to enforce indentured servitude and wage suppression. America has plenty of 130 IQ genius level people capable of engineering. If paid as much as finance or medicine, Musk wants genius tier talent for 7-Eleven wages. H-1B is a scam and it's high time it's exposed. Mostly we already knew this, but it's nice to have the stats. I wouldn't have guessed that the difference was this profound. That by these numbers, what is that? What's the fucking ratio there? If this is true, then what is that? Whites are 180 times as likely to be 130 IQ or higher. Want to check my maths on that, Aiden, or are you too zooted, I believe is the modern term.
What are number again?
What are a number? According to these numbers, this data, just to be clear, white Americans are 180 times more likely than Indians per capita to be geniuses of 130 IQ or more.
I mean, just looking at it, that seems...
Just given these numbers, yeah.
Yeah.
Another one says, important detail here, what do these geniuses apply their genius to? Western ones mostly do so for constructive purposes. Indian ones mostly do so to get ahead by any means possible. That's also true. At least, probably. There are going to be some in the West that do and some in India that don't, but I think there'll be a greater probability. Yeah, that's a good point. The nation with shit everywhere lacks brains. Checks out. Yeah. Well, they can't be snatched from China that easily, although that's probably why there's so much Chinese importation into universities, for example, because there are geniuses in China, though, again, the proportion might be similar to this, probably not quite as bad as this, but because there's so many of them, and most of them are very poor, but a few of them aren't poor. It's just baffling that that you would do this when you've got so many at home. But then just cheaper. But they're not worth it. I mean, it's what is it? The arguments people have had with Elon about why the Roman Empire collapsed. And I haven't not looked into the history of this very closely, but I bet it's true that they collapsed because they imported a fuckload of foreigners. I bet that's what happened. The only thing I've seen that can actually defeat democracy is mass demographic change. Same thing with probably all other political systems as well, by the way. So that's probably just the nation killer. Because it's not a nation anymore, literally. Yes. Yeah, that's that. Next up. Yeah, this is just a good post people have been posting around. He says, sorry if I've seemed politically incendiary recently, babe. My country was taken over by gay race communists and invaded by the third world, and every time I bring it up, an account from Ghana or Bangladesh tells me I deserve it because my ancestors showed them electricity. This is basically true without exception, no notes required. Super says, Eastern cultures also practice methods to get ahead by any means, including resource denial. It's why China and India is flooding higher education. It's to deny opportunities to Westerners. That's probably also true, yeah. I think that's definitely a large part of it, but then there is probably some degree to which Western leaders, whether political leaders or industry leaders, want to take that talent from those countries. Now, I don't think that's the right approach. I think that should be cut to near zero. But I can at least see why there might be an argument for it. I can at least see why someone would think that's a good idea. I disagree, though. But you're probably right that that's also what they're trying to do. I mean, they have more people, so they can afford to just flood. And of course, like the answer is then they'll go to the West, get education, and then not spend that education in the West, not actually spend the talent there, just go back to China. Not always, I expect, but probably most of the time. Then again, if the Chinese government's willing to let them go to America to get educated, I imagine that they still have some sort of, stranglehold on them to bring them back. Because it's China. All right, next up. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is true, but something to look out for. This guy says, one of Israel's top propagandists, who also happens to be on Netanyahu's legal defense team against the ICC, who also happened to survive October 7th, somehow ended up at this Hanukkah event in Bondi Beach, got shot in the head, and managed to survive. Why the fuck are we letting them play in our faces like this, he says. I wouldn't be surprised if this is true. I don't know if I'm going to find anything about it, though. Something to look out for. So people says, did you forget the CCP police stations appearing up in Canada and America a few years ago? No, why would I forget those? The ones that stay, maybe they're the ones that set those up, or in part. Yeah, it's not just says they'll threaten your family. Yeah, and it's I believe the education visas in that case are most likely temporary anyway. Some of the Chinese students said they're spy on the other ones, yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's not worth it. No, democracy doesn't kill itself. Democracy ends up in a trough of stagnation and corruption, which it then usually pulls itself out of, usually recovers. Democracy is adaptable. But as with any civilization, you get complacency. The thing with democracy is it's easy to blame the system for it, whereas with a dictatorial system, you would tend to blame the ruler. But in both cases, it's both. Next up. This is good. So Rupert Lowe says, phew, thank God for that. We were all worried for a minute between the rapes and the muggings. London can sleep easy tonight. And the tweet goes on. It's in response to a thread of someone trying to deny that London's dangerous. Jonathan Pye here, who's a leftist comedian, which is a contradiction in terms, but from what I've seen, he's reasonably funny and open to people talking freely. Though he is, of course, himself quite leftist. He says, have you ever actually been to London? And Rupert Lowe says, I'm an MP, dipshit. The problem with that is...
I saw that. It's just a hilarious response. It made me laugh for like 5 minutes the other day.
The problem, Rupert Lowe, with that is... and I don't disagree with Rupert Lowe's position here, obviously. But the problem is that being an MP does not allow you to see all of London. Mostly just the nice bits, the bits that are kept nice. Still... I would tend to believe he
Jonathan
actually knows.
Pye's retarded question was, have you been to London? In which
That's a
case,
good point,
I'm
yeah.
an MP dipshit is an accurate and correct response.
Yes, technically that's true. Technically. It's not the most, helpful interpretation of the question, but it's direct. Yes. Peter Haig here says, I love what this site has done for political discourse. Yes. We need more of this kind of political discourse. Straightforward, no nonsense. Right, good. Next up. I mean, maybe Jonathan Pye was being sarcastic. Maybe that's what you mean, Brit. Maybe he was being sarcastic. Maybe he realized. I don't know. He is supposed to be a comedian, but he's also a leftist. We're assuming that his leftism drove this message, but maybe his comedianness drove it. I don't know. Probably what we're assuming is correct. Okay, so here's a little video. I haven't watched with audio yet, but I have watched without audio. And these are, allegedly, Venezuelan soldiers who are steadfastly training to confront the advanced US F-35 fighters. Technology may be superior, but their determination and unwavering courage make them stand firm as the final line of defense for their homeland. Let's watch what they're doing.
Primer comunicador al segundo comunicador. Se ha detectado un vector aéreo por el corredor Guarena-Guatire.
Observador, se ha detectado un vector por el corredor Guarena-Guatire. Tira una alerta, vector enemigo, es aéreo, corredor Guarena-Guatire. Vector enganchado. Vector destruido.
If Trump goes to war with Venezuela, it's going to be a war of hours. Look at this guy. Look at this guy on the left. He looks like he'd never held a gun before. Now, I've never held a gun before, but I've seen people holding guns before. And that's a man who's never held a gun before. So, much like with, I think it was Iraq, where the actual military lasted, what was it, like days or weeks? But then the quote-unquote guerrilla forces, the random farmers with guns, harassed the US military for the rest of the time they were there for years, much more effectively. These guys will be the same. They'll last hours, days, at most a week, I guess. But then the on-the-ground forces, if the US puts boots on the ground, the actual random civilians with AK-47s will be more dangerous. Pointing it at the camera. Nice. Well, there's all kinds of problems here. The military, the journalists are all clustered around the military holding these massive launchers. I don't know if this is the kind of launcher that has the backdraft, but they didn't seem to be very careful about that, did they? Backblast, not backdraft, sorry. I think it's called that. Where it's about as dangerous to be standing behind it as it is to be standing in front of it when it fires. Why are they firing them over a city? That seems a bit dangerous. But whatever, I guess. I mean, who's still alive in Venezuela to be hit by that anyway? Methods of fighting a proper military are much cleaner than trying to wipe out a guerrilla force. Indeed. That's what I'm saying, yeah. Having a military is, as far as okay, if you're defending against a big nation, you're probably better off not actually trying to fight them with your military. You're probably better off just embedding your military throughout your society. I'm not sure, I'm not a military strategist, but that seems to me like the sensible answer. Because if you try and fight them with your military, all you're doing is collecting all your most willing fighters in one place to be completely annihilated by superior technology that you haven't even seen the plane that destroys all your forces. Evelyn says, if the US wants to succeed in Venezuela, they just need to fuck up all their military facilities, kill Maduro, and fuck off. Exactly. Yeah. Most of the people in Venezuela, as far as I understand, aren't particularly happy with constantly starving. So, yeah, if you just take down enough of their infrastructure that Maduro can no longer rule, and or kill him, then yeah, that's what you need to do. Don't occupy it. Americans, please. Don't try and occupy Venezuela. Don't try and occupy anywhere, really. unless they want you to, or you're willing to use overwhelming force on civilians who resist. Yeah. Yeah, true, Born. I think having embedded guerrilla fighters within the population is probably still better than using them in their sort of organized military sense in the modern day against a superior force. However, you're right that the optics, attention to optics, is a big factor there, because you don't want to shoot back because you could mistake which one is a civilian and which one isn't. The CIA needs a new coca source. Well, that's one possible reason I've heard for why the push towards Venezuela is happening. There's more than one idea, but it may very well be for bad reasons. Though there is obviously a good reason pretense, which, given it's Trump, I'm more willing to say is the true reason, but it might be a bit of both. I haven't seen that, Ginger. Apparently 90% of the released Epstein files are fully redacted. Masseuses. To be fair, that specific page is likely to be literally just a list of either innocent employees or victims. And so I can understand that specific page being redacted. Maybe, and I'm just trying to be generous, intellectually generous here, but this is not certainly what's happened. Maybe 90% of the files are details of the victims and employees, like innocent employees. Maybe. I would be surprised if that's the case. Otherwise, it's very suspicious if it really is 90%, yeah. Trump just wants to give the foreign oil to his Jew that controls the oil industries. Is this, Miller, was it? I can't remember his name. The one that always sounds based. I don't know if it's that. It might be for oil, but I think oil is it's always the thing which is suspected for American motives, but probably isn't. Like the Middle East stuff. The first layer is gotta kill the terrorists, gotta take out the WMDs, 9/11, rah, rah, rah. Second layer is oil. But I suspect that's not it either. Third layer is twofold. Firstly is poppies in Afghanistan. And second one is military-industrial complex expending old stock to give an excuse to manufacture new stock, and somewhere to train modern military tactics and to keep the soldiers sharp. That's probably what it was. Oh, and also disrupting Russian and Chinese ability to do the same. And those, just read those reasons for doing it, make a lot more sense, frankly, than the others. And they're actually pro-American reasons, or at least in sheer practical terms, they're pro-American strength and power around the world. That's probably what the motive for those conflicts was. This one, I think, is different, but there's some overlap, for sure. Military-industrial testing grounds, yes. I think that's a large part of it. Also cheaper to use old munitions than to dispose of them. Yeah. Well, not only cheaper to use, but you get something out of it. Because you're at least training your soldiers, seeing how the munitions work, trying out new strategies. I think largely Ukraine, not perhaps primarily, but a large part of the reason for Ukraine is to see how modern military shit plays out in a sort of safe sandbox environment where Western militaries aren't directly involved, but they're giving equipment for testing strategies against a not quite peer, but relatively close to peer in Russia. Got to use the depleted uranium somewhere. If we don't use $10 billion worth of depleted uranium this year, then we won't be given $10 billion worth of depleted uranium next year. That's just how it is. Yeah. So yes, that stuff. Since we're talking about this, I think I have a story about was it this one? Someone had a bit of commentary on, I think it was this one. Oh no, yeah, it was Massey. Yeah. So Thomas Massey is seemingly a very principled libertarian member of the US Congress. He is one of the few who the IPAC tracker group finds has taken no money from IPAC. So immediately he seems more trustworthy. The only real oppositions I have to him are that he has blocked some things that Trump was trying to do, which I think, while they weren't principled perfectly, they were practically a good idea overall. But he probably would know better than me on that, so perhaps not. Either way, he has something to say on the Venezuelan war saber rattling that Trump is doing.
The framers understood a simple truth. To the extent that war-making power devolves to one person, liberty dissolves. If the president believes military action against Venezuela is justified and needed, he should make the case and Congress should vote before American lives and treasure are spent on regime change in South America. Let's be honest about likely outcomes. Do we truly believe that Nicolas Maduro will be replaced by a modern-day George Washington? How did that work out? In Cuba, Libya, Iraq, or Syria, previous presidents told us to go to war over WMDs, weapons of mass destruction, that did not exist. Now it's the same.
Small point, but technically they did, just not the ones implied. It was not as bad as was implied.
Playbook, except we're told that drugs are the WMDs. If it were about drugs, we'd bomb Mexico or China or Colombia, and the president would not have pardoned Juan Orlando Hernandez. This is about oil and regime change.
So that's nuanced. I got a lot to say about that. I generally like his perspective of trying to hold the government accountable, and wars should be conducted through accountable representatives like Congress. You should put it through them first. However, I can see an argument for not doing so if the motives for your geopolitical moves have to be known, then you're at a disadvantage compared to other military powers. Putting it through Congress means that they are probably going to become public, your actual reasons for doing something. Or you have to come up with a fake justification to give to Congress, which probably won't be as strong. So there's at least an argument not to put it through Congress. Now, maybe there's some way that you can get Congress to vote on it without publishing it, but if any of Congress are Democrats, then there's every chance they will leak that anyway. Even if not publicly, they could leak it directly to your enemies. So I can see why you would want sometimes not to do that. But still, it's better to. War has changed. As opposed to the bad video games tagline, war has changed over the years. It is no longer sending stacks of men with guns to go and shoot at each other across a field. In the age of information, it's a very different picture. I mean, that still happens, but it's not the main thrust of war. The main thrust of war is intel, far as I understand anyway. So at a certain time, perhaps when this was all conceived, telling Congress what your plans were, or what your motives were, it would take long enough for that to get to the enemy, and it wouldn't have as much of an effect in practice that it wouldn't really matter. These days, it would get to them immediately, and it may have a significant effect on the course of the war. So I can see an argument for not, but of course, then that could lead to tyrannical warmongering, which I don't think is what Trump is doing here. But of course, you've got to make sure it's not. Now, there's some other things he said that are interesting. We're being told that the drugs are the WMDs, he's saying. Well, yeah. I mean, from the stats that I have heard, mostly parroted by Trump, but I've heard no one denounce or refute those stats about how many Americans are killed by opioid drugs. Yeah, kind of. I mean, they've killed way more Americans than any WMD Iraq had. Even probably that any WMD Iraq could have killed. I'm not sure about that, but I mean, I don't know if they had the equipment for a dirty bomb or something, but I do remember hearing from people I trust that the WMDs did exist. They just weren't anywhere near as bad as was implied. There was no nukes. There were technically WMDs there, but it was exaggerated. So if it, like, the thing is, Trump doesn't need this to be about oil or regime change. The drugs are sufficient justification on their own, and they're actually a good one. Now, why are we not, we being the West in general, but why is America not bombing Mexico, China, or Colombia? Wouldn't that be great, actually? Why not? Well, why not? Because they're bigger and more diplomatically relevant and weighty countries. If you bomb China, well, you better pick a nice target because there's a pretty juicy one. But if you bomb China, then they've got nukes. Bad news. I don't know if Mexico has nukes actually, but that's a big move to take, to bomb Mexico. Now, Massey may be looking at this from the perspective of just pure principle. If it's about drugs, then bomb the ones with the most drugs. Okay, what if it is about drugs, but it's also about sanity? We don't want to bomb countries that are major players in the world. However, this country here, this little one here, is a significant problem in terms of drugs. It's not to be underestimated, but no one's going to fucking care. No one's going to protect them. No one likes them. Everyone hates them. So let's do it. It's an opportunity. That is an opportunity. And sometimes in conflict, you've got to take opportunities like that. You don't really have that opportunity when it comes to Mexico. Now, maybe you could do something about Mexico, but it would be way easier to topple Venezuela, I suspect, than to topple Mexico. Colombia, maybe. But Venezuela is probably the easier target. So why not start there? I mean, Massey, why assume that Mexico, China, and Colombia aren't up next? They might be. At least Colombia might be. I don't know who Juan Orlando Hernandez is. Maybe he does help to make Massey's point. He says it's about oil and regime change. It might also be about oil and regime change. No doubt of that. Difference there is, Trump is very willing to use American oil reserves. This is kind of why I think oil was always a misnomer, because the US has massive amounts of oil under the ground, enough that it doesn't need to go abroad to get it. In fact, enough that it's probably way less efficient economically to go abroad to get it. I think oil was always an excuse. It was always the layer that you were supposed to fall on if you didn't buy the genuine WNDs, the frontline excuse. You just fall on oil. It's just oil. Well, at least then you can argue that that's positive for America, but that's still not the real reason. I suspect that's the same thing with Venezuela. And even if it is, it's not about obtaining the oil for America. It's about denying the oil to China and Russia, who need a lot of it. And I don't know if they have the same natural reserves. I mean, it's hardly like their nations would grind to a halt without Venezuelan oil, but Venezuela does provide a lot of oil, I think. So it's probably more about that, which honestly, if the US wants to invade a little shithole country with a tin pot dictator who everyone hates, and if doing so prevents Russia and China getting some significant percentage of their current oil supply, I'd rather he do it for that reason than he do it to get the oil himself. I'd rather he burn the oil off the harbor than just to deny it to the enemy, than that he take the oil, but it's not a significant denial to the enemy. When I say enemy, China and Russia are certainly enemies behind the scenes. And then regime change. Bruh, I don't really mind. There are some regimes in South America there which are probably dictatorial but not unrepresentative, as in the dictator is doing roughly what the people want and maintaining a stable society, rather like Assad in Syria, where, he was a dictator, he did some fucking horrible things, but it made the country stable. Same thing with, by the way, Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi, I think. They were killed not because they weren't maintaining a stable country, and they weren't killed for being secular either, or for being dictators. And they were killed for other reasons. Each one of them, I think, a different reason. But Assad wasn't killed, but deposed for a similar reason as here, because this regime probably shouldn't be able to stand. But it can, because of Russian and probably Chinese intervention, much like with North Korea, a regime that shouldn't be able to stand because there's not enough merit flowing in that country. Well, it can because North Korea's continued existence is useful to China. Probably the same thing with Venezuela. Probably the only reason it's still around. Now, there probably are regimes the US is propping up, and probably some which aren't just. I'm not against changing that. At the same time, this is not a pure principle conflict, as much as Massey is prone to see it that way. And that's kind of the problem with him. He's too principled. It's also a matter of pragmatic us versus them. If Russia and China are maintaining a dictatorship useful to them, but not useful and actually destructive to the US, which is right nearby, and you have an opportunity to topple it, because you do, they're backing down from doing anything about it, at least publicly, then you should take it. Realistically, it's not the most absolutely principled thing to do, but it's so obviously pragmatic, whilst not being too unprincipled, that yeah, I could see Trump doing it. So I respect Massey's opinion here, and I want him to keep making these kinds of points. Someone needs to be in Congress. But I think in this case, the pragmatism of the situation overrides the imperfections of principle. I do disagree with some of this interpretation as well. Ginger says, doesn't Venezuela have like as much oil as all the Middle East? I know they have one of the largest oil reserves in the world and probably have the highest oil per capita in the world. I think it is that much, yes. I don't know what percentage of Russia and China's, and whoever else's, oil in intake is from Venezuela, but I don't. It's probably 10% at least, maybe as much as 50. For the US, I don't think it's anywhere near that much, and the US has plenty of its own oil that it could be obtaining. So I think the oil argument matters a lot less for the US than it does for Russia and China. Venezuelan oil is shit, says Nachos. Fair enough, I didn't know. Still, if it's in large quantity. But yes, from everything I've heard, the Venezuelan people are not a fan of Maduro, much like the North Koreans. Well, the North Koreans have been propagandized to be a fan of Kim Jong-un, but it's not natural. They wouldn't like him if not for that, because they can barely eat. I mean, how many years has it been now since we heard the news story of Maduro recommends his people breed and eat rabbits if they can't find enough food? That's been like 3 or 4 years ago. That's bad advice as far as I understand, by the way, that rabbits are not a very good food source. But that's 3 or 4 years ago. How many of them have starved and died because of Maduro's shitty socialist leadership? I mean, maybe the ones that disapproved the least are the ones that starved and died. I don't know. Either way, I think quite a lot of Venezuela would be happy for a quick and decisive beheading of the government by the US, who then leave with maybe a few small conditions, like we'll just be a bit more friendly with us in future. Maybe even put a puppet, I don't know. But just, probably most of them would rather have a US puppet at this point than Maduro. And even if it's just a pure fucking roll of the dice, that's probably worth it with Venezuela. Even if the US doesn't get anything directly out of it, the next leader is hardly going to resume the same drug smuggling policy, is he? That just got the previous one killed. So that solves the problem. I don't know. I respect Messi's position, but I'm having trouble seeing it as justifiably practical. It's too principled, and I think the reasons he thinks it's for are incorrect. Yeah, rabbit meat isn't bad for you, just can't live off it alone, says Abla. Yeah. Rabbits are a good meat source, you just also need a fat source. Okay, fair enough. Not worth the price of refining, interesting. Well then, I don't know how they propped up their economy with it. Scarab says, we shouldn't do regime change and let them govern themselves. If we are going to do it, then it should be as an empire where we directly control them. So, generally, I think that's a better idea if you can get it to work. But I don't think you can get it to work in the modern day. I think the bounteous technology and even intelligence, to some extent, that the West has either created or fostered is too widespread for foreign rule to work. Especially if you care about optics, which of course you kind of have to in the modern day. So probably not possible. But if it was possible, that would be better for the people of Venezuela, probably. I mean, South America can't help themselves but go for socialism. They keep reaching for it. If you can just stop them from doing that, that would be fantastic. But I don't know if you can. China and others don't care about the waste from firing, I suppose. Dirty it is to burn the fuels, yeah. Well, then that's just another justification. If that's true, just a further justification that that needs to be ended. I mean, it's not a major one, but it is one. Literally rescuing the lungs of the Chinese people by toppling Maduro. Why not? Then again, maybe you'd rather leave Maduro in place so you can choke out the chinks. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to... why is there a user in the audience named Aiden's mum? Is that Aiden's mum? Hello, Aiden's mum. Aiden, have you noticed this? She's got it going on, says Wormhole, indeed. Aiden, she's right. She's sitting right next to you in the audience.
Oh shit! Hi, Mom. What the fuck? What the shit? How did you figure out how to use Discord again?
Hey, don't be so rude. Your mother's a very intelligent, lovely lady.
Oh no!
I'm going to unmute her.
No.
Aiden's mum, you should be able to talk now. When you talk, you come through as kind of like a background audience noise on the stream. Hello.
Hello?
Oh no!
It's really her. Great.
Well, okay, let me tell you the truth, you guys. So I thought, like, let me see if I can see what's going on. And now I'm trying to get out, and I can't figure out how to get out.
No. You're not allowed to leave now. You're in too deep. You have to stick around.
Oh my god!
Aiden's mum, if you like, I'll tell you how to leave the channel. But you're more than welcome to stay. I think we'd all enjoy you staying.
Well, thank you, but I'll let you guys go. I just thought I'd see what was happening.
No worries. This is where we hold the stream. This is where we hold the stream live.
Me too. I'm sorry.
Chat, do you want to say anything to Aiden's mum before I tell her how to leave the call? All right. If you have a look in the
You can't just
bottom,
also kick her, I suppose.
I can
She
do,
can't
but
figure it out.
you know, I could disconnect her so that I have complete control of whether she can leave next time.
Oh my god!
But no, Aiden's mum, are you on a computer or on a phone?
I'm on a phone.
Okay. In that case, good luck. The Discord interface on mobile is terrible. There should be something that you can either scroll down to or sort of flick up from the bottom of the screen, which has a icon like the phone handset being put down. See if you can find that and click it. It might be in red. That's
Yeah,
that's the
like
button you're looking for.
A phone being that's hung up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like this. Hold on.
But you should, even if you find it, we'd love you to stay.
No, Mom, you don't have to. You
Well,
can
I was just making sure you guys were having fun.
We are.
Go ahead, take me out.
I will manually disconnect you if you like.
Oh.
Okay, and then I'll figure out what to do in the future.
All right.
Like that red button. Show a live chat.
It is
my
with
screen up there.
It is with great regret that I do this, but for you, Aiden's mum, I would do almost anything.
Oh, thank you.
Bye,
That's
Aiden's
nice.
mom.
Bye, guys. It's 60-mile-per-hour wind here. It's in the 20s.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's cool. Okay.
Well, best of luck. Best of luck.
Thanks.
See you soon, Aiden's mum.
Warm.
I'll take good care of your daughter.
Oh my
Thank you.
God.
All right, it's done.
Look what
well-
you've done.
Well, chat. She mentioned that she had 60-mile winds over there. I can tell you what. Whenever I go there, get a great blow.
Oozaloo, no. I'm not going to let you get away with that.
Disgusting.
No. Vile man.
That's all right. I said it after she left, not before.
She's probably still listening, you dingus.
Hello. I was just talking about the weather.
She heard your vile speech. Or Pugman.
Aiden, I'd like to direct your attention towards Pug's meme.
Yeah. What about it?
Chat, please do not post the follow-up meme to this. The line was too long one. Ice, if you do /meme, it's all in there. That's Zane's bot. Nacho says, yeah, I've got to hit Aiden's mum. She sounds so sweet. You better take care of her. I will, don't worry. She is a precious, precious thing. Yeah, there it is, Jada. yeah, I mean, don't post that one. The one you just posted, yeah. That's the one not to post. Damn, I should have invited her to Lord of the Rings tomorrow. Yeah, she does want a date, clearly.
I have just, through sheer happenstance and coincidence, come across a relevant meme.
Good to hear.
It's uploading. I have slow internet. There it goes.
The signs in Wyoming that say close to high-profile vehicles, wind gusts to 70 miles per hour are in English. True, and that may be the reason that lorry blew over.
There is a video.
Aiden's mum can blow my lorry over, if you know what I mean.
Fucking
Give
God.
this a watch.
One already on the side. Eee! Oh!
Jesus.
Oh! Bro! Wow. Hope the guy's okay.
Consider the following. If these are Indian drivers, then finally their lack of ability to read English is causing them some pain without also killing a bunch of innocent people at the same time. Scarab says, you did this, Aiden. Just remember that forever and all time it was your lowball offer that caused this. Yes, Aiden lowballed at 1,000 and then lowballed again when someone contributed 500.
Which,
But
by
no,
the
I
way,
was...
I should note, was 500 Australian, which ends up
Was it?
as about, 200 pound. I should point out.
I didn't know it was Australian. I thought it was American dollars.
Australian. I didn't know. Yeah, because it's still dollary dues, but it's Australian dollary dues. It's about 200 pound.
You know what, Aiden? All that proves is that it was worth it inherently to do this. For basically for nothing.
Wow.
She lowballed 3 times. I can't believe I just looked over and suddenly there's Aiden's mum in audience. That's so great.
I was so surprised. I figured it was someone else who had just
Yeah.
the account.
I had to check. Yeah. That's so good. Ice, Discord URL will work. I'm not sure if the Tenor URL will work. When the meme bot was the one I made that Zane has then used as inspiration, let's say, Tenor works. Tenor links did work. I'm not sure if he's added them. But yeah. Aiden says £200 was after YouTube cut was factored in. Yeah, they take 35% of
It's
super chats.
30%.
That's
But it's
30%.
30%, yeah.
It's a lot,
It's
though.
still 30%, which is a lot, yeah.
Yeah. Sar, I have CDL. Let's look at this one.
It's my life, it's now or never. But I ain't gonna live forever. I just
Do not this. Chat, do not this.
Signs to
That
for the
Jeez is
VA
going on a
hospital.
fucking adventure.
He sure is.
VA, it's coming from the VA hospital.
Yeah, that's not great. Oh god, there's more. Is this AI? I think it is.
हाँ 2 मिनट में तैयार हो जाएगा। अरे यार तू बस सुन, मैं बोल रहा हूँ फालतू में मोल-तोल मत कर। क्या फोन रख, मूवी चालू है यहाँ। हाँ देख रहा हूँ, तू चिंता मत कर। हाँ बकरा भी खा रहा है, खिड़की खोल दूं क्या? किलो दे देना, वरना पूरी पार्टी बिगड़ जाएगी। अरे सुन तो,
अरे सुन रहे हो ना? हाँ वही फाइल भेजी थी पर सर्वर डाउन है। मैं बार-बार बोल रहा हूँ ऑफिस की मेल चेक करो, सब अटका पड़ा है। हाँ मैं कर रहा हूँ यहाँ से।
What? Where's the music for this come from?
What's most unrealistic about that is that I didn't hear a single mutta chode. Extremely unrealistic.
Yeah, see, this is what AI is for. Cheat engines, yeah. Why would that be there? Why would they, like, it's not a Native American carpet shop. Anyway. Yeah, I should have, Aiden, can you invite your mum to our Lord of the Rings event tomorrow?
Why?
Nachos wants you to.
Okay, because Nachos wants me to, I will.
I mean, that is a good enough reason. You two have a lovely friendship going there.
Look, the Woman Alliance is strong, okay?
And chat, you can make it weaker by doing a /denounce Woman Alliance. You can also become a simp Woman Alliance supporter by using the /IAM commands to give yourself the Woman Alliance supporter role. The role is supposed to be for members of the Alliance, but because it's open to everyone, it is essentially supporter. 8ball is a Woman Alliance supporter, but he hasn't done that because he's a simp. He's done that because he wants all the roles. Decwow, for the topic popularity system, you can use multiple words. So I'll show you. /denounce Woman Alliance. That should show up. There you go. And I'll also show you the current state of Woman Alliance on the board. There you go. 16 people are denouncing it. Nachos, how does this make you feel? The state of the Women Alliance has never been weaker, at least according to the popular opinion. Lol, whatever, she says. Yes, I was also going to have a look at filter stream overlay. This is kind of state of the overlays. Currently, Fighter Pilot overlay is at a sufficient level. So it needs to be £15 or above for one of these overlays to take effect, and then the highest level overlay takes effect. So if you want the Fighter Pilot overlay, chat, which that's still on there basically from the Wingman streams, then do nothing. But if you want a different overlay, or you want no overlay, then you can change, you can /revoke or /denounce any of those overlays now. And tits overlay is special. It only comes into effect at £100, but it turns the background into tits. This is overlays for on the stream. What on earth is Bukake overlay? That's an unofficial one. You will see that some of those have a wizard icon on the downvote. Those are ones that I have marked as official. I will find a better way to mark things as official later. But the ones that are not so marked are not officially supported. Only the ones that are officially supported actually work. There's also, as a reminder, the User Plays board. Actually, yeah, if you do no overlay, if that gets high enough, then that would work as well. I would use that. So I'll do /denounce no overlay. I don't have any credit, so it won't make a difference me denouncing them. But it just marks it as official. There's also the User Plays board there. Any User Plays topic or Userloo Plays topic that gets above £75 gets that game put on the list, and I will play it. And I have been playing through them. We finished Project Wingman the other day. Pretty good game, actually. Bukake Lay says, of all people, Aiden. How's the pain meds, Aiden? How's that working out for you?
Pretty nice. You neglected to include that it was followed by a vomiting emoji, but yeah.
Well, I'm not sure I really believe that's how you feel.
Ugh.
You didn't post a vomiting emoji at me flirting with your mum, and yet that makes you vomit?
No, I already threw up, don't worry.
Right. I'm being recommended to play Tunic. I've heard of it. Not against it if you guys can get it to the requisite threshold of £75. Remember that you can do /redeem to redeem SAR and to increase your influence on the board on all these topics. And if you contribute real money via the links here, tip.wizardry.net, then you immediately get Cabal credit that you can then redeem to use as influence. Just let me know if you have contributed and if I miss it, but I usually will add your credit as soon as I see it pop up. This was Faith. I've heard of it. I don't know what kind of game it is. Do not redeem, says Aiden. See, she wants you not to redeem, chat. Redeem. You have to, since she doesn't want you to. That's how it works.
Please, sir. Do not redeem, sir.
Also, if you can get Uza date Aiden's mum to some sort of high level, then I will unironically send her a message asking her on a e-date and send a screenshot. Retro style puzzle horror game, says Arpar. Faith. Okay. Ice, I think, may be about to denounce that. The fact that Aiden isn't denouncing it, frankly, indicates that she's fine with it.
I don't really care enough, to be honest.
Really? You don't care about your mother's happiness? How dare you?
Well, I do, but again, I'm on codeine. I'm also in pain, so.
All right, Mofaku has sent this picture of Woman Alliance. Aiden and Nachos, can you figure out what the problem is here?
No fucking shit. The top of the saw.
She's fucking retarded.
Yeah,
she's got
retarded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her hair's not pulled back. You should not. I have
absolutely
long
the
hair.
thing
Like
is-
my hair's down to my waist. You need to have that shit pulled back.
Chat,
What the fuck is she doing?
they're attempting to signal that they're not like the other girls.
Yeah, we know how to use power tools.
This woman's
I do
just
anyway.
retarded.
What do you mean you know how to use power tools, Nachos?
Like these are obviously this isn't a power tool, but I know I know how
What
to
do
use
you
a lot of
mean
tools.
you know how to use power tools, Nachos?
I've had to hang up curtains. I've had to hang up TVs. I've had to put together bookshelves.
Are you talking about an industrial strength vibrator, Nachos?
No, I'm not.
Chat, please post the kind of tool that Nachos, the kind of power tool that Nachos uses on a daily basis. What's that one that you use to dig up concrete?
Jackhammer.
Yeah. A hammer for jacking.
Zen Man said it too.
Yeah, but I don't believe any of the men in chat masturbate.
Oh God, that's creepy. No ice.
You know what? If we built a Minecraft server, that's all Nachos would do.
I would.
Maybe we should build a Minecraft server. You know, actually, chat, if you can get...
You guys are being pegged by me in Minecraft?
She's embracing the meme, chat. Gotta appreciate that. Here's an option, chat. I'm the nard about making something about Minecraft server for Cabal. It would be fairly easy. I could just run it on my PC here. Wouldn't be the best performance, but it would be fine for us. I could set one up. It would just be a simple vanilla one, but I'm not sure if people would actually want to use it if I'd set it up and then it wouldn't be used, which would kind of suck. If you want me to set up a Minecraft server, then /support it. The topic can just be whatever makes sense, I guess, just /support Minecraft server. I suppose we could also use Cabal Minecraft or something like that, but just Minecraft server. And if you can get that to a high enough level, then I'll set one up. I'll treat that as the community intent to do so. If someone else wants to set it up as well, it wouldn't be as official, but you go for it. You could then whitelist members of Cabal and stuff. And I do recommend that's how you set it up if you do want to. Aiden says, one time I was in mixed media design class and my enormous gay friend Devon, not the last of those you had.
Devon.
Devon, we should
You're
start
big
calling
black guy.
SFO Devon. Use the bandsaw. Mr. Flores would always tell us not to use the bandsaw when he wasn't in the room, but Devon chose to use it anyway and immediately cut the tip of his finger off. Mr. Flores returned to him screaming and bleeding everywhere, looked at the rest of us and said, that's why you never use the bandsaw. Yeah.
Real shit that happened, bro.
We
What was
watched
that,
Faces of Death in driving class.
What was that story about the lathe where all they had to do for safety was to hang a sign above it saying, this machine wants to kill you?
So you have to kill it
It
first.
applies to anything in any metalworking shop ever.
True.
Every metalworking shop machine wants to end you, and in a not in any fashion that you would consider to be compatible with an open coffin.
All tools hunger for your fingers.
True.
And your eyeballs. Wear safety goggles.
They hunger for your internal organs. They will settle for your fingers.
True.
Indeed. They do hunt for organs.
If you want a true horror story, look up the term degloving injuries.
Don't look that up.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Do not look that up.
Do not, in fact, look. Ginger, that's what you can read out. Degloving stories.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
I love Ginger's voice. I think he could basically read anything and make it entertaining, so I think it'd work. I think the more like ridiculous, the better.
I don't think I'd call a degloving injury ridiculous.
No, I'm just talking in general, though. Like,
true, but degloving injuries are another story.
I was once browsing memes on a perfectly innocent meme browsing website and just so happened to click a video that turned out to be a man he was operating a high-speed lathe. He had a loose sleeve.
Dumbass.
I will let the rest of the video together in your head, but let's just put it this way. They were washing him off the ceiling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they would be.
Yeah. I have not seen such a video, and I do not wish to. Revelon says there was a trend where some retards use microwaves transformer to do fractal burning onto a wooden plank. It's one of the most deadly trends to ever exist. I guess it would be, yeah. Aiden and I watched Steins Gate recently, and aside from all the other dangers of time travel, minor spoiler, the fact that they were using an open microwave in a room is not a great idea. I imagine that, again, aside from the time travel shit, they probably all got cancer from it.
Yeah, and then they all died of cancer, right?
Mhm.
That's the true ending.
Oh,
There's the bad ending to Steins Gate, which leads into Steins Gate 0. Then you've got the good ending at the end of the original series. But the true end, the real true end, is then they all died of cancer.
Yo,
Microwave
True.
if you can.
they ate the banana.
Chat, if you build
Banana.
a time machine using a microwave magnetron, is it called, in your bedroom, then radiation is going to be a factor.
No, it'll be fine.
Uzlu, do you understand the difference between ionizing and non-ionizing radiation?
No, actually, I think I do, but I can't remember. Listen, okay, Ginger, the only education on radiation I need, the only education on whether microwave radiation, whether the radiation from a microwave can give you cancer, is that South Park episode. Okay, that's all the education I need.
And that South Park episode was hilariously incorrect.
No. I don't think so. Listen, Ginger, it wasn't just a microwave. It was a microwave that shot out electric sparks when it activated. I think it was a bit dangerous.
Any conventional microwave can be made to produce electric spark if you use it incorrectly enough.
Like room scale electric bolts.
If you use it wrongly enough, yes.
Colin says the issue wasn't the microwave, the issue was the voltage in the current.
At that point. But yes, you can get a microwave magnetron, a conventional thing that you would pull out of a conventional microwave. If you wanted to tear it apart and use it incorrectly enough, you could get that thing to fire plasma across a room. You could probably only get it to fire plasma across a room once.
But
you could get it to fire plasma across a room.
But can you get it to send a text message back in time?
No.
Only, what's his name? Hyomin Kiyoma, or whatever his name is, can do that by accident.
They just want you to think you can't get it.
Yeah.
Wait, what? I genuinely didn't hear what Nacho said. Never mind.
I said they only want you to think you can't send a text message back in time with a microwave. You just haven't tried hard enough.
Right,
Yeah,
yes.
CERN wants you to think.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Microwaves are truly magical devices. They have the ability to take electricity and turn it into an invisible form of light that will make things explode. It's very, very fun if you use it at high energy. If you use it at more conventional energy, all microwaves really do is just let you transfer heat from a power source to a target instantaneously.
Yep. Pretty cool. Anyway, shall we news? This is some bad news, at least it seems like it. President Trump is backing controversial Congressman Tony Gonzalez for another term in Texas's 23rd congressional district, endorsing him over Second Amendment activist Brandon Herrera. Not the only thing he is, and it's weird that Timcast News is not specifying that Brandon Herrera is also a YouTuber, given that Tim is, but whatever. It's not incorrect what he said here. Bad choice, I'd say here. Two major options exist. The first is that Trump is controlled, whatever word you want to use for that, either leveraged or deliberately, whatever. And he's picking the establishment guy, maybe. The second option is that he is a narcissist and wouldn't like someone else who's popular, like genuinely quite popular and is growing in popularity, to be in his orbit. Same thing happened with, I think, with Farage. So both those options exist. Both are possible. I think the second one is slightly more likely. A narcissist leader is not unlikely, and it's not even necessarily a bad thing, but you do have some downsides. Arbless has watched Brandon win anyway. I hope so. He seems good. I don't know about this Tony Gonzalez guy, but from the only thing I know about him being how he looks, I don't trust him. But Herrera seems fine. At least I hope so. Let's look what this is. Okay, this is Herrera's response. He says, I completely understand President Trump's need to endorse incumbents, no matter how bad, to help secure Republican votes in the House. But Tony has betrayed Trump before, and he will again. I am not only planning to stay in this race, but planning to win. I do have to wonder if President Trump has been briefed on any of the rather damning scandals Tony has embroiled himself in. I don't know much about those scandals, but very best of luck to Brandon Herrera, because he seems like the better choice. Jada says Tony sucks dick. I mean, given it's a politician and a conservative one at that, do you mean literally? Well, this is last time Tony outspent Brandon by a factor of 10 and won by a couple of hundred votes. Hopefully, Brandon will do even better this time. Let's go, Brandon. So yeah, that's that story. There is a new feature on X called the X Ratio Finder. Actually, I don't know if this is on X. It says it's powered by the X API. So a different domain, though. I think it's official, though. It shows you posts where I believe what this would be is that either replies or retweets are significantly higher than likes. Or maybe it's if the first reply is significantly higher than in likes than the original post's likes. Something like that. This one says, don't bet against Elon, and they got ratioed. So Elon's made this, I assume. Again, maybe it's not official, but if he has made this, it's not going too well. He's on here as well. Let's have a look at this. So Elon says, I try not to start fights, but I do finish. Is this the... Okay, I guess what this is K10 his system bet against Elon. And they have 1.1K. Elon responsibly has 5.5K. I'm still not sure how the ratio thing works here, to be honest. Nobody is this the same thread? Oh no, that's the right. That's the first post and the reply. Okay, so according to this, Elon has ratioed this person, but the reason they have is because Elon has a massive account and they don't. Now, I think the idea is that you'd only see the reply if you see the first post as well. So the first post should always have more likes than the reply, unless it's a really disliked post, in which case the reply might have more. This one's not a great example because Elon is just blustering here. But there probably are others. Actually, Elon is the reply on a lot of them, probably just because he's such a big account. This one has a 10 times ratio. Let's just look at this. I'll link the ratio finder for you in a minute. So, post from Daniel Bliss, which says, I said it straight to Bovino's face. The violence, racism, and brutality that his agents are inflicting on the Chicago area are unacceptable and un-American. He's talking about ICE, I think, or authorities anyway. Bovino's agents tried to Bovino, I guess it's FBI then, intimidate me, and I won't back down. I won't stop fighting to protect my community. So this is, I expect, some sort of leftist activist. 173 likes on that one. The response here, 1.7K likes, so a 10 times ratio, says, yet you continually choose illegal aliens over your very own American citizens. At least the Evanston Police Department gets it, ensuring violent mobs stayed away from Border Patrol as we made your community safer, something you failed to do. More to come, stay tuned. Details somewhat lost, but that's the kind of thing that you can find with this ratio. And a lot of it will be political as well, relevant to what we talk about. Maybe it's a good place to find interesting interactions and stories. Here is the link to the ratio finder, and I think it's official. Yeah, groundbreaking. New study finds Islamophobia may be partially caused by Muslims killing people all the time. Yeah, they do that. They do that quite a lot. Anyway, there's the ratio thing. Let's see what else we've got. This is some good news. Jury, I think so. Jury says Wisconsin judge who helped illegal alien evade ICE is guilty of obstruction. Seems rather obvious, but at least, hey, the jury agrees. No one is above the law, they say. Something Democrats have said before, but in this case applies to them, and in many other cases too. That was on full display late Thursday night, they say, when a Wisconsin judge learned it's illegal to obstruct federal agents.
For the first time, we're seeing Judge Hannah Dugan outside her courtroom April 18th, wearing her black robes, appearing to confront several federal agents there to arrest Eduardo Flores Ruiz, a Milwaukee man and Mexican national charged locally with 3 counts of domestic battery. This video, released by Milwaukee County through an open records request, is part of the evidence in the case against Judge Dugan, who's charged with obstructing a federal investigation concealing Flores Ruiz, allowing him to leave her courtroom by a different door after sending the agents to speak to the chief judge. Flores Ruiz, dressed in black with his attorney, is seen in several of the videos leaving by that other door, one prosecutors say was used by jurors and not open to the public. As he leaves, though, he is seen in the hallway, followed by another agent. As Flores Ruiz gets into the elevator to leave, the agent slips in as well. According to the criminal complaint against Dugan, that agent followed them down. The agent seen here following out of the building downstairs, and once backup arrived, they tried to arrest Flores Ruiz, who another video shows ran north in front of the courthouse for nearly a block before agents caught up with him and arrested him. Federal agents.
I like that plainclothes guy. This is the kind of thing, by the way, where I'm not saying it's sufficient on its own evidence of this, but I do have some sympathy for why the numbers of deportations might not be that high. If they have to chase down, not every, but a significant number of them who have been like sheltered by some official and then run when they approach, that they have to go to the extent of having a plainclothes officer in the area undercover just to track them, just so they don't run straight away. I understand why it would be difficult, and if they are going for the high-value targets first, the numbers would be lower. Still, I want them to be higher, and maybe there is some lack of will or lack of funding for it, but I can understand why it would be lower. Pug, the jury trials thing in the UK, from what I read, that's being U-turned on and isn't happening. But Lammy considered it fucking abysmal. I mean, it's not like it's just the latest of the founding principles of our nations which are being attacked, unfortunately.
Agents arrested Dugan herself a week later.
Eduardo Flores Ruiz's domestic violence case is moving through the Milwaukee County Court. He is, however, in federal custody on his immigration arrest. The
fact that she's like, yes, I'm just like the people that protected the Jews in the Holocaust. She didn't say that, but I'm guessing that's what she's thinking of herself as, like a liberator, protecting the weak and vulnerable. He's a violent criminal and an immigrant to the US. He should be deported. How can you think he shouldn't be? Even if you don't think that illegal immigrants who have not committed a violent crime should be deported, surely you would agree that illegal immigrants who have committed violent crimes should be deported. Surely. I guess not. But I have no sympathy. The whole question of would you like it if the enemy was doing this to you? The problem is this is justified by the law, by principles. If the enemy was doing something justified that was constitutional and that any sane nation should do, and then someone from my side tried to block it, I may have slightly more sympathy than this, given circumstances. I don't know what they would be, but maybe. But that's about it. Ultimately, if it's the right thing to do, it's the right thing to do. And even if you disagree with this on moral grounds, if you're leftist or something, it is by the books the right thing to do. Everyone says, have you seen Dev parade around to study how immigrants are less criminal than native population? I don't think that's true. But if it is, it's not the point. They are not supposed to be in the country.
Yeah, they're all criminal inherently, so it's kind of a stupid point.
There is that.
Also, when you live off the grid, when you are living illegally, it's almost like it's a little bit more difficult to track those people down.
True.
Strangely.
Yeah.
What a weird study. What a strange finding. How could that happen? They must just be really, really good non-citizens.
Well, I wonder what the upshot of that study is, because it doesn't seem likely that that's true.
That is.
You could also.
The people.
You could also. Yes. You could also assess that the legal immigrants who are citizens but are still immigrants also contribute to those crime stats. Then again, actually,
yeah, they're easier to track, though.
Surely the black population of the US would be counted among the citizens.
Indeed.
Someone in chat has their mic open and is making movement noises, by the way. So that's probably what it is. So if the argument is not just citizens better than immigrants, it's a bit more specific than that. It begins there.
I wonder how per capita statistics would play into that whole story.
Yeah. Everyone says the study examined the rate of incarceration, not the rate of crimes committed. What happens to immigrants convicted of crimes? Do they get incarcerated? Often no. And also, if they get deported, I'm guessing that wouldn't be counted because it's not incarceration.
Nope. you're seeing the multitude of problems with this particular study. I'm familiar with it. This type of analysis is designed to find a certain result.
So basically, Dev posted the nigger map.
No, he just posted the leftoids post this study a lot, which is that, again, it's poorly operationalized. It is designed via its methodology to prove what it proves, which is faulty and poor methodology in statistical analysis and research.
Yeah, but if one of the major issues with it is that it's counting blacks among citizens,
well, yes, of
then
course,
what
they
he's
are.
basically done is posted the nigger map. Chat,
Yes.
can you post the meme of Farquaad saying, "Ha! The libtard posted the nigger map," because it keeps happening. You'll see something where they point to like, look, the US South is the most criminal area. Yeah, why do you think that is? It's not because of Trump supporters, though of course they'll conclude that. It's the nigger map. It's just where the blacks are in the country. Indeed, Ice.
Arrest. The FBI arrested Judge Dugan at the county courthouse 1 week later on April 25th. She pleaded not guilty in a federal court last week.
Judge Dugan, your response.
That's Dugan exiting the federal courthouse after an arraignment last week. Her legal team filed a motion to dismiss the case, calling it unconstitutional and saying that she is entitled to judicial immunity. A judge set a tentative trial date for July 21st.
I don't think being a judge gives you immunity to crimes. What does she mean by that? Aiding and abetting a federal fugitive, I think that's accurate to what you did, deliberately. You don't get any immunity to that. Prison, honestly. Roland says, a native got convicted of a crime and sent to jail for a year. 12 immigrants were convicted of crimes over that same year and got deported within a month of conviction. The incarceration rate was counted once during that year. The study would count one native and one immigrant as incarcerated during that year. Yeah. The rate in that case would probably be going up under trial, the relative rate anyway, the ratio, because more of them will be deported. I assume, probably still not enough, but more. As previously covered here, they say Judge Hannah Dugan was charged with obstruction, and I believe we looked into it. And then this is the actual outcome. So after 6 hours of deliberation, dragging into the night, a jury returned a split verdict against Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan, an extraordinary blow to the sitting judge. She faces up to 5 years in prison for obstruction, the more serious of the charges, though first-time offenders rarely receive the harshest punishment. If it's a split verdict, doesn't that mean it doesn't go through? I thought it had to be unanimous with the jury. Judge Dugan was probably already aware of the potential penalties being a judge and all. You'd think so. The Mexican national who has since been deported, Flores Ruiz, was set to appear in Dugan's courtroom on 3 misdemeanor counts of battery, etc., etc. Instead, let out the private door. And says, I hope he was worth it. Well, they caught him. It's not like they were going to fail to catch him. Good fucking job, though, with the plainclothes officer. They clearly thought about this stuff. I'm sure they had to deal with this kind of thing exactly happening before and set things up to make sure it doesn't happen again. There were 2 charges. 1 charge guilty, 1 charge. Okay, thank you, Revlon. That's much clearer. Okay, good. I have something else on this. I'm not sure if it's superfluous, though. Bit of footage. I think we already saw the footage, basically. That's fine. Yeah, most overrepresented ethnicity, yeah. That makes sense. All right, next up. I guess we should skip to the main story, or the main stories. The university shooting. Let's talk about that. I have the stuff open for this, but it's all a bit mixed around. Okay, that's one of the stories on this. Let's have a look at this. Start from here. So there's been a shooting at Brown University, and we'll look through what I have here, and there's more as well. But The first thing I have on this is interesting. One of the after effects. Breaking: Trump and Kristi Noem have just ordered the suspension of America's diversity visa program, which allowed Brown University shooting suspect Claudio Neves Valente into our country, he says. This was a lottery program that has let multiple terrorists into America, including the NYC ISIS truck ramming terrorist. Our entire immigration system needs to be scrapped and rebuilt at this point, he says. Maybe, but at the very least reformed. Or, modified. Sounds like this lottery is over, they say. So why was this not already scrapped? Why? Maybe they weren't aware of it. Well, they should have been. Either way, doing it now, right after something has happened, has a few effects. One is it helps to justify doing it, which you didn't need. Trump, you got the mandate. Two is Trump is not doing very well right now in public opinion. Quite a lot of his own supporters are disappointed with his recent actions, understandably. I think we all are. And this is arguably an attempt to claw that back. And not a completely empty one either. It's a good thing to do. It's just, that's part of the motive. And it's, I don't know actually exactly when the midterms are, but it's getting relatively close to them, so they're concerned about that. Not stoked. What do you mean by that? Normal? Oh, November. We've passed November. Is it next November? Okay, fair enough. Well, then it's still some time for that. We're not that close to midterms, but still Trump would like to regain some of his, some of the trust in people that he dropped with some recent actions. Either way, good thing to do. Why wait until now? Either way, it's still happening, still being done. Should never have existed in the first place. See what else we have on this. But this apparently was the way that the shooter got in. Now, I don't know much about this story yet. We're going to find out, learn about it together. But breaking: Brown University suspected shooter is a Portugal national, not a citizen, confirmed dead and a student at Brown. Claudio Neves Valente, 48 years old. Portugal is the same country where the slain MIT professor is from, allegedly committed by Valente. If they're from the same country, that seems to imply a problem. Now, them being an immigrant, or illegal or otherwise, or unjust anyway, from Portugal, one would assume, and one has to assume, same thing as always, that when they say, for example, British national, and it's clearly a Muslim, no, that's an asylum seeker who happened to land on our shores and then did something evil afterwards. The same thing could be true here, though at least the perpetrator has a Hispanic name, so they may actually be real Portuguese. I'm not sure, though. Let's listen to this police report.
That subject matched the description of that person of interest that this police department was desperate to put handcuffs on. An individual was identified as Claudio Neves Valente.
Why do so many of these people doing press conferences treat it as like their acting audition? Just declare the information straightforwardly. It's a murder. You're not here to impress us with your acting talents. Police chief is also, yes. Could be a Brazilian claiming to be from there on paper. Could be. The homeless guy who followed the shooter before the attack used to go to Brown. Ironic. So I have heard from looking into this a little bit myself before stream, and also from Aiden, who's looked into this, I think, more than I have, that there's some weird oddities about this case. So we'll learn more about it today. NTS says, I'll be available to speak on this in about 30 minutes. I'm from the area. That certainly sounds good. I'm afraid I'm sorry that the timing hasn't worked out there. I didn't know that you wouldn't be available for a while, but we'll do that. NTS did offer in advance to come and talk about this because he's from the area. So I appreciate that.
Date of birth, and he was a 48-year-old man. He was a Brown student. He was a Portuguese national, and his last known address was in Miami, Florida. And I will tell you that he took his own life tonight. We have members of the Providence Police Department up in Salem, New Hampshire. And we also have the BCI unit. Obviously, the FBI and their evidence recovery unit is up there. So the process is being conducted as we speak. And it goes without saying that I would like to personally thank the efforts again of the Providence Police Department, the Rhode Island State Police, the Rhode Island Attorney General, of that subject.
And that is the end of that. Standard stuff mostly there, but there's still a lot of information that we need. Let's see what else I have on this. Brown University student Alex Shia, and this is from a little while ago, I think. No, this is today. Was this the one who, was he involved in some way? I did see something about this, of him being involved. I may have to come back to this, because I think I need to... Yeah, this also happened. Police released a video, this is from I had this last stream, that shows nothing in Brown University's shooting. Brown University has roughly one surveillance camera for every 9 undergraduate students. Yet despite that high level of surveillance, local authorities have not released a single clear front-facing image of the shooter, who yelled something unique before killing 2 and injuring 9 in a classroom that focused on the intersection of economics and Jewish studies. That's interesting, isn't it? Providence police have not identified a suspect and they have now, but this is from a few days ago, appear to be pursuing multiple so-called persons of interest, underscoring nearly 48 hours after the shooting just how few leads investigators have to work with. So here is some footage of them investigating, I think. I mean, just what if there was some evidence in these bushes, guys? What if? At 2:30 p.m. local time, Providence Police released a new video of a person of interest and announced plans to release additional videos as part of an ongoing investigation. The closed-circuit video shows an individual wearing all black, walking along a street at an estimated distance exceeding 100 meters, with no discernible facial features or front-facing imagery. Now, maybe they just didn't release the footage that they had because of, I don't know, some privacy concerns. There's probably other people in the footage, but I'm not sure if that's justified. If they're looking for the perpetrator, they should release the footage they have. So they released this. And in classic police or government style, you've got all the fucking UI here. So yeah, that's very helpful. Yep. I mean, chat, most of us could identify him as an individual. I mean, given the video's compression, you can't even see the top half of the body at all. Sig Bobby says they sent information to fight systematic racism. Obviously, that is the accusation implicit here. What I'm suggesting is that there could also be a logical or reasonable reason. But yeah, I mean, that's something that we should assume is just impossible. Look out for a person with legs. Very good. So yeah, the theme here apparently is hiding the text. I'm not sure why that is. But yeah, so that was then. Let's see what else we can find on this. University shooting, because it looks like there's a lot of odd circumstances here. We can start with the BBC article on this because it's usually a pretty good place to start, but there's going to be more detail elsewhere, I expect. Brown University and MIT professor shooting suspect found dead, police say. I guess that's a more up-to-date picture of him. Alamo rent-a-car. Interesting. I guess this is the perp. He doesn't look very brown, does he? Get a rental car. Nige? Question mark? I don't think so, no. The suspect in last week's mass shooting at Brown University has been found dead in a storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire, following a 6-day multi-state manhunt, police say. Found dead in the storage facility. That's interesting. Was the gunshot singular or multiple? If it was multiple, well, then I have more suspicion. I think Nige is that fat. No, you can say many things about Nige, but you can't say that he's that fat. Yeah, to the back of the head, indeed. They identified the suspect as Claudio Neves Valente, 48, a Portuguese national who studied at the University of Providence, Rhode Island, about 25 years ago. It barely is worth saying that that's extremely fucking suspicious, that they just found him dead. Well, he could have been a fall guy. Might not even have been the guy. If the police or FBI were in on this for some reason, then they could just be allowing this guy to be the perpetrator as part of the routine. Or he could have been a nudge case where he was pushed into doing so, and then killed by the same kind of people that nudged him. Or it could have been genuine and a suicide. Could also have happened. But it's odd that they just found him. Of course, it's possible, though. Let's keep reading. Providence Police Chief Oscar Perez said video evidence and tips from the public led investigators to a car rental location where they found the suspect's name and matched him to the person of interest. Officials said they also believe Valente killed a Massachusetts Institute of Technology professor 2 days after the 13th December shooting at Brown. Initial findings suggest Valente died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and police were unable to comment on how long he might have been inside the storage facility, so it was allegedly self-inflicted. Authorities have not suggested a motive for either attack. Brown University President Christina Paxson said that Valente was enrolled at the Ivy League school from the autumn of 2000 to the following spring and was studying for a PhD in physics. He had no current active affiliation to Brown, she said. This is very strange. The people he killed, I would want to look into why someone might want to kill them. Officials said that they believe Valente shot and killed MIT professor Nuno F. Gomez Loureiro, 47, on Monday at his home in Brookline, about 15 miles from Providence. Both the victim and the suspect had studied at the same university in Portugal in the late 1990s, police said. That is a strange connection, isn't it? So long ago as well. The cases were linked when the subject's vehicle was identified via CCTV footage and a witness at Brown University. Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Neronia said Valente was found dead with a satchel and 2 firearms, evidence in a car nearby matched the scene in Providence. The same car was spotted near the scene. Well, that explains it. Suspect found dead in Salem, New Hampshire, all the way over there. Second shooting in Massachusetts, and first shooting in... So it draws a straight line. Certainly plausible. Even though the suspect were found dead tonight, our work is not done. There are many questions that need to be answered, FBI Special Agent in Charge Ted Dox said, and the agency had deployed approximately 500 agents to assist local authorities in the investigation. That's a lot of agents for a shooting like this, I would think. Leah B. Foley, the U.S. State Attorney representing Massachusetts, said Valente was using a phone that obfuscated tracking. So not an idiot, then. He was sophisticated in hiding his tracks, they say. Either not an idiot or he had help. Meanwhile, the US has suspended its green card lottery scheme in the wake of the shooting. I believe we just saw that. He's saying that he should never have been allowed in the country. Noam said the Portuguese national had entered the US through the Diversity Lottery Immigrant Visa Program in 2017 and was granted a green card. The program makes up 50,000 visas. She has paused the visa scheme. That's good. The BBC presented this fairly neutrally as well. For days, members of the public had expressed frustration at the investigation into the shooting at Brown University last Saturday after it appeared to yield little progress almost a week after the attack. A gunman burst into Brown University's Barras and Holly Engineering Building and opened fire during a study session ahead of the final exams. 2 students were killed and a further 9 injured. 2 dead victims. Uzbek-American first-year students. Seems like they were probably collateral, but that would be a good way of hiding your actual target. Police had asked for patience from Rhode Islanders on Wednesday, released new footage of person of interest. FBI offered a $50,000 reward. So you go with that. What I want to know is this guy, Alex Shea, is he one of the victims? Because I'm not sure why this guy's mentioning him. Previously eviscerated the school's administrators for having a $46 million deficit despite surging costs for students. They pay $90,000 per year. Is this related? Because it's about Brown University. I'll read this in more detail afterwards, but I'm not sure. Because I saw this is about Brown University. I'm just not sure if it's directly related. Not sure. It may be worth just going over the criticism of the university itself anyway, but I'm not sure it's that relevant to the shooting. So let's continue looking into it. Google is not the best place to find new information about it. There's live updates here from this site. Let's have a look on another site, see what these guys have on the... Okay, there we go. Dead for days before they found his body, apparently. May have made barking noise before opening fire. Now that's interesting. Oh, wow. Someone actually got the $50,000 reward and it was a homeless guy. Yeah, there it is. Okay, there's much more interesting stuff here, chat. Bear with me. Apologies for not having all this ready beforehand, but this does seem like there's quite a lot of interesting stuff here. Yeah, okay, so we've got that one as well. I'm more interested in this currently. Brown University shooter Claudio Neves Valente also responsible for murder of MIT professor. So more than one murders of different university professors. Say again,
It's 55 miles. It's 55 miles away between Brown and MIT.
Indeed. Authorities on Thursday evening confirmed Claudio Neves Valente is also responsible for the murder of MIT professor Nuno Loureiro. I thought that was the other one. Okay. Authorities say he's responsible. He carried out the 2 Brown University attack, also responsible for the murder of MIT professor. There's the picture of him. Well, I mean, there's no looking at it closer. Brown University shooter Claudio Neves Valente was found dead. He was a Brown University student. I believe the rest of this is sort of just background. Loureiro, who's
You have it yet, but he wasn't just any Portuguese-man. The guy he killed at MIT was also a Porco. And they went to the same undergraduate institution. You did get that, yeah? Someone wants to read the message.
47-year-old Nuno Loureiro, a nuclear science and engineering professor, was shot multiple times according to police. Well, that sounds like he was the actual target and not just collateral. Loureiro was not certainly, though, was transported to a Boston hospital and died Tuesday morning. Loureiro, who is also from Portugal, was recently appointed director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center. Loureiro is taking the helm of one of MIT's largest labs. More than 250 full-time researchers, staff members, and students work and study in 7 buildings with 250,000 square feet of lab space, MIT said earlier this year. A theoretical physicist and fusion scientist, Loureiro joined MIT as a faculty member in 2016 and was appointed deputy director of Plasma Science, etc., etc. Officials said that Claudio Neves Valente and MIT professor Loureiro attended the same university in Lisbon years ago. We did mention that earlier, and you have just said it, Aiden, but yeah, there it is.
Also, I don't know if you have the fact that Trump has just now signed a new, or expressing new interest in an agreement involving stuff that this guy's research may have facilitated or potentially affected in some way.
Interesting. Nacho says the homeless guy used to go to Brown and thought the shooter was acting sus, circling the neighborhood and followed him, made a Reddit post about it, and then called the cops after he was urged to, leading to the discovery of the body through tracking the rental car. Thank you. We'll have a look at that in more detail in a minute, but that's I mean, good for him. Shame that it didn't prevent the killings, but at least they knew who it was. Now, FBI believes the MIT nuclear scientist murdered in Boston and the Brown University shooter went to school together in Lisbon, Portugal. That's it for that story. Aiden, if you have anything on the connection between his research and something that Trump is up to, do let me know. I don't think I have that. Thank you. Let's go through these then. Brown University shooter was dead for days before law enforcement found his body, according to the autopsy. The Brown University shooter was dead for days, according to the New Hampshire Chief Medical Examiner. Brown University shooter Claudio Neves Valente was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound inside of a storage unit in Salem, New Hampshire. Brown University
Fox News alert breaking just now. A high-level source on the ground tells Fox News that the suspected Brown shooter has a storage unit under his name in this facility in Salem, New Hampshire, where the abandoned car was found. And police are currently having the building surrounded. Agents have entered the facility, but not his unit. Video shows him going into the storage facility at some point.
Well, this is a little older. They have now gone further. Descended on extra space storage in Salem and discovered Neves Valente's body. Died by suicide, it says, after a single gunshot wound to the head, according to the autopsy. Wouldn't be difficult to fake that if it wasn't suicide. Well, see, that's the question. They didn't specify here. The medical examiner believes Neves Valente likely died on Tuesday, just one day after he murdered the MIT professor, which would be most of a week ago. An autopsy report released Friday shows the suspect, Claudio Manuel Neves Valente, is estimated to have died on Tuesday, December 16th, one day after the shooting, and 2 days before the authorities found Valente's body in a storage unit in Salem, New Hampshire. He died by suicide as a result of a gunshot wound to the head, New Hampshire office said. Something like was identified. Ella Cook was identified as one of the victims. Ella Cook was a member of Cathedral Church, Evan Birmingham, Vice President, Brown University Republican Club. So there's also Republican Club aspect, the potential right-wing connection, if that was the intent. But quite possible it was just collateral. Second Brown University Shooting victim has been identified as 18-year-old Uzbekistan immigrant Mohammad Aziz Murzakov. Given that profile, I would say it's fairly likely that the fact that this woman was a Republican member of the Republican Club, president of the Republican Club, probably was not part of the motive. Given that this doesn't match that profile, then again, maybe it does. Maybe they were specifically hunted. Mohammad Aziz Murzakov attended Brown University in hopes of becoming a neurosurgeon. His family said in a GoFundMe post. That's it for that one. Rhode Island Attorney General says Brown University shooter might have made barking noise before opening fire. It just keeps getting stranger. Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Neronha on Thursday evening said the Brown University shooter made barking noises before opening fire. The shooter, 48-year-old Claudio Neves Valente, found dead 6 days after he opened fire. He was a Brown University student and a Portuguese national. DHS Chief Christy Noem says that Neves Valente entered the U.S. immigration lottery. Face photo found. That's all stuff we know, I think. On Thursday evening, a reporter asked Rhode Island AG about what he allegedly shouted. Let's have a look at the video. I expect that's where this is.
And so that's why he followed him out. In terms of what was said, I don't know any more today than what I told you yesterday, or the day before. There are some witnesses who said he said nothing. There are some that say he made a barking noise. Don't ask me. I don't know why. And that's it.
To be fair to him, he did not present that anywhere near as ridiculously as I expected. I was kind of hoping, given what we saw with the Charlie Kirk shooting, where the governor of the state read out, "Oh, notices bulge, nuzzles, ooh woo," whatever the fuck he said, all that shit, and the somber tone with which he said it. I was kind of expecting this guy here to give us a somber toned but genuine recreation of the barking noise right here on stage in front of the cameras. That might have been funny. However, no, he's saying I think it's as weird as you do, and he's right, because that is strange. But apparently, at least one witness is saying that that he made a barking noise.
There is no other spoken word beyond that we are aware of as we stand before you tonight. And we have spoken to everybody that we have been able to locate who's been inside that building. And just
So, whenever there is a terrorist attack, especially where it kills people, especially in a Western country, you're always going to ask, was Allahu Akbar said? At least according to this guy, it wasn't, though there was barking, potentially, according to some witnesses. Very strange. Thank you, Aiden. I'll get to that in a sec. Let's read this first. Homeless hero, it says, who cracked Brown University shooter case is entitled to $50,000 reward, FBI special agent says. One hopes he doesn't just blow it on, on something he shouldn't. But hey, good for him. This is clearly against physics. Yeah, the two other people he killed, I would assume were collateral, at least initially. I said witness probably heard someone's dog. Maybe. It could also have been, this is a bit of a long shot, but it could have been some sort of PTSD-induced hallucination, like a false memory. A homeless man who has only been publicly identified as John is entitled to the $50,000 reward for his pivotal role in cracking the case of the deadly shootings at Brown University and MIT, according to Ted Dox, special agent in charge of the FBI. Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Neronha echoed Dox, stating that he blew this case right open and emphasizing when you crack it, you crack it. Hopefully that's not what he pays, not what he uses the money for. Claudio Neves Valente identified gunman, etc., etc. Witnesses have reported the shooter making a disturbing barking noise during the attack. Just 2 days later, Valente struck again, gunning down a professor at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. Hope he turns his life around. It would be nice to think so, yes. It would be nice to think so. Witnesses reported barking noise. According to the university custodian, Valente had been casing the Brown campus for weeks prior to the rampage. Hours before the Brown shooting, John, who was living in the basement of Brown's engineering building at the time, he was allowed to, confronted Valente in the building's bathroom, noting that the suspect's clothing was inappropriate and inadequate for the weather. That is odd. It's interesting that he noticed that, to be honest. Later outside the building, John followed Valente and challenged him, yelling, "Your car is back there. Why are you circling the block?" Valente replied defensively, "I don't know you from nobody," and repeatedly asked, "Why are you harassing me?" I guess now we know it was fucking justified. This guy, I mean, this is schizo on schizo action here. If you see someone acting strangely, walking around the block a bit too much, your first response isn't to follow them and say, what are you doing? Why aren't you returning to your car? 90% of the time, or more, they're going to have a valid reason, or they just want to walk. But he followed him, and possibly because he's a bit nuts. But it's good that he did. In this case, that was the right thing to do. John's suspicions, and like, if you intend to shoot up a place and someone is following you and noticing that you're acting weirdly, why wouldn't you just like leave and come back later? Why would you continue and be like, stop harassing me, and then continue casing the joint? I don't know, it just seems like if you're being observed, in Skyrim, if you're crouching and then the eye opens, you don't assume you're still stealthed, right? Just to give a stupid example. It's better again than New Vegas though, right, Nachos? Later outside the building, John followed Valente. John's suspicions deepened when he observed Valente interacting oddly with a grey Nissan bearing Florida plates, possibly a rental. Valente used his key fob to unlock the car, approached it, then backed away and relocked it before circling the block again. He wasn't helping himself, was he? Acting this suspicious. Yeah, but Took, where's she getting the mozzarella from? John approached the vehicle himself and noted the plates. Good man. The homeless hero quickly took to Reddit to share his tip. Oh, he's a Redditor. Chat, press 1 if we can't call him a hero anymore, given that he's a Redditor. Or press 2 if the actions he took actually override the fact that he's a Redditor, and we can call him a hero. No one says gay and homeless, true. Nacho says that she has promised Pierre that she will not fall for the bait regarding Fallout New Vegas. Honestly, Nachos, perhaps it is time to move on.
He has read it, therefore he must kill himself.
Yeah, thank you, Hamster. Ginger says one can visit Reddit without being a Redditor too. Yeah, fair enough. That sounds like a Redditor excuse to me. Never mind. The homeless hero credited to Reddit with his tip, quote, I'm being dead serious. The police need to look into a grey Nissan with Florida plates, possibly a rental. I know because he used his key fob to open the car, approached it, and then something prompted him to back away. When he backed away, he relocked the car. I found that odd, so when he circled the block, I approached the car. That is when I saw the Florida plates. It's impressive that he noticed this. And like, I know it's kind of silly, but the idea of Sherlock Holmes using homeless people as a silent army, a silent, like, not army, but like monitoring system, information network, to me, that always made sense. Made some sense, at least, if you can get them to do that. Then again, a lot of them are kind of nuts, but they have the time to notice things out in public that most people wouldn't. They have the time and not a lot else to do, and the attention to what everyone else is doing to notice this kind of thing. Spy network, yes, thank you too. So it's fantastical, but it also does kind of make sense. If you could get that to work, it would be good. The homeless hero quickly took to Reddit. The crucial post combined with surveillance footage enabled investigators to identify Valente after having no leads for days. The suspect was later found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound in a storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire, which we'll look into in a minute. Confirmed his entitlement. It would be logical to think that absolutely that individual will be entitled to that. I think so, from what I'm seeing, yeah. I think so. I believe usually the wording... That's good, Wolf. I believe usually the wording is information that leads to the arrest of a suspect. So technically more than one person could be entitled to the reward. In this case, if that's the wording, absolutely he is. What it sounds like, absolutely he is. So yeah, best of luck to him, turning his life around with it. It could be done. Unfortunately, it could also go the wrong way. Bit more information here on it. On this one, Blue, the Brown University and MIT case is wide open. Some more pictures here. I assume these are the surveillance footage. Mafaku, is that related? Or is it just a interesting separate story? Because unfortunately, I always have too many stories to cover. Okay, is this just an early iteration of the same story? It's the 19th. What's the 19th? A slightly early iteration of the same story, I think, yeah. Here's the post, actually. Anything new that we haven't read? No, I think I already read this. Gave where he was parked as well. Didn't give his number plate on this post, interestingly. Quote, I don't think a lack of cameras in that building had anything to do with what happened. Brown University President Christina Paxton said it took authorities 6 days to find the shooter, and police said they literally got on a homeless man and his Reddit post. Okay, when it comes to the cameras not working and being, quote, turned off, I believe, Aidan, you used that term earlier, and understandably so. Distinct possibility the cameras were deliberately turned off. As always, as indeed with the Epstein shooting, distinct possibility the cameras were either in the correct area, were turned off, or the cameras were like deliberately pointed away or some shit. But it's always possible. That's the malice answer, or the conspiracy answer. But then there's the cock-up answer, which is just how often, and this is genuinely probably true, how often are surveillance systems just woefully badly maintained to the point that they just don't fucking work? Or they exist.
Strange coincidence.
No, honestly, knowing what I do about IT systems and how well they're maintained, if you're not actively using something, it will fall into disrepair. Tragedy of the commons. Even if one person is responsible for it, if no one's checking up on them, it'll go by the wayside. I'm not saying that this is what happened.
To be checking this stuff.
They sure are.
Well, I'm
they sure are.
Campus security, particularly post Me Too era, has been extremely high alert, because the whole reason they installed these cameras all over campuses across the United States was to prevent Me Too stuff, and specifically was to prevent women from being assaulted by drunken frat guys. That was under the auspices under which they installed all this shit. So, I mean, it looks bad upon Brown either way.
Oh, it sure does. Nothing about what I'm saying looks good for them. Conspiracy is certainly an option, that they turn them off deliberately, or that they deleted footage or some shit like that. No, that's certainly possible. But we always have to consider the possibility that they just fail to have decent systems. And this is my question. How many systems of surveillance systems that are supposed to be functional just aren't? In how many institutions, especially institutions that are part or entirely government funded, like the 2 examples I gave? I don't know how much government funding Brown gets, actually, but I imagine some. How many of them just don't fucking work? Even if there are cameras there, how many of the cameras are fake? Because you can buy fake cameras. It's decent deterrent. It's cheap as well, very cheap to buy fake cameras. How many of them just don't work? How long is it going to take? How many of these instances where it's like, oh, we had cameras everywhere, but we didn't have any footage? How many of these instances is it going to take before institutions get their finger out if it isn't intentional? I imagine the number, if we would look into it, of partly or entirely government-funded institutions where the cameras just don't fucking work on review would be shockingly high. And perhaps that's a good thing to do. Perhaps the FBI or some organization needs to just do a review of just maybe a spot check of a bunch of different institutions to just see whether their surveillance systems are actually up to standards. Even relatively low standards. Do they fucking work? Can we get the footage from any of the real cameras around the campus? How many of the cameras are real? Just do that check. And I bet you'd find shockingly poor results, to be honest. Now, that may be the case here, or it may have been deliberate. The next thing we'll have a look at, or one of the next things we'll have a look at, actually, not directly next thing, we'll maybe give a bit more information on why there could have been conspiracy here. I guess we'll do it now, actually. Wild coincidence. This is from Aidan. The post was provided by Aidan. Wild coincidence, the Twitter user says, that Israel apparently is currently investigating the murder of a nuclear scientist that happened last Monday, and now we're merging with a nuclear fusion company. Professor Nuno Loureiro, 47, was gunned down in his Brookline MA apartment on Monday, with little progress made so far in solving his murder. That's now been solved. Or mostly, seemingly. An Israeli investigation was reportedly launched against the backdrop of Loureiro's research in energy and nuclear physics, a notable topic of interest for Tehran. I wonder what he knew. Probably just a coincidence, they say, or a coincidence. Trump media.
Market post, yeah.
Yeah, Trump media merging with nuclear fusion company in a $6 billion deal. Within 48 hours after a scientist specifically specializing in nuclear fusion is shot to death in his home and happens to be a professor at MIT, you couldn't bet on this happening, they say. Why is a social media company merging with a fusion startup? Good question. I don't think
strange.
Trump media is not Truth Social, but I think Truth Social is part of Trump Media. Trump Media is a broader company, and media in the broadest sense could refer to just pretty much anything. So it's not completely inconceivable that Trump Media would merge with a fusion company, but it is odd. It's not the first thing you'd assume. So the notion of there are lots of fusion professors, I expect, across the US in prestigious universities, no less. But MIT is one of the more prestigious. I've heard of it. And this guy was a professor there. So it would only take one to perhaps look into it and notice something for him to then be killed, especially if, and I don't see anything here about that, but if the fusion company was Israeli or had ties with Israel, that makes it even more suspicious. TAE Technologies. TAE Technologies. Fusion Power Clean Energy Company. CEO Michael Binderbauer, that's a funny name. Founders Norman Rostoker, that's a funny name. Harry Hamlin, not a funny name. And Hendrik J. Monkhorst, not sure about that one. Headquarters in California, so it is American, allegedly. I think I may have seen these guys in a video, actually. Clean, safe fusion energy from experience. This is not that Helion, which seemed like the most interesting one, actually. Trump Media and Technology Group to merge with TAE Technology. Okay, so it's not just Trump Media, it's Trump Media and Technology Group. So that now does make a bit more sense. What kind of, let's turn off this actually. What kind of, I'm interested for multiple reasons here, both political and technological. I know a little bit about fusion power. What kind of fusion power is it? Because that's not a Tokarak or a stellarator. It looks more similar to Helion's machine, actually. It looks like it is, actually. This is roughly how Helion's machine works, I think. I guess they're copying the same approach. TAE Technologies is a mission-driven company advancing proprietary science and engineering solutions for a healthier future. Founded in 1988 to develop commercial fusion power with the cleanest environmental profile, TAE's work presents the fastest, most practical, and economically competitive solution to bring abundant energy to the grid. Alongside fusion, TAE is developing innovations that support intelligent power management systems and next-generation treatment for cancer patients. It's a weird combination. We are one TAE building sustainable future. Well, that is a weird combination of things, isn't it? Original science endorsed by the world's leading peer-reviewed journals. And here's the thing about the merger. So this form of nuclear generation, people always joke about the notion that all power generation technologies that we have just boil water to turn a turbine. Now, that does make some sense because it's a relatively energy efficient way to generate power. But I believe this form of power generation actually doesn't do that. It uses the diverging of a magnetic field to generate power or something like that, because the fusion inside pushes it out and that somehow generates power. It's clever. I've seen a video on it. And it's one of those things where it's either genius and will be the future of power generation or something similar to it, or it's a scam. And we're not entirely sure yet where on that spectrum it falls. But this looks like the same technology as what Helion was doing, which is the one I was talking about. Ronald says, commercially viable fusion is not even in sight. There is no financial incentive to off some scientists, considering the cash flow comes mostly from government funding with no hope for any return anytime soon. And there is no reason for energy moguls to kill him, considering how nuclear power is well established already and is already a source of relatively cheap electricity. It's no threat to them. They say, I do not believe any part of scientific advancement he might have made could be a motivation for his murder. Fair, but that does not rule out that there could be a connection, because it's not just about the nuclear power. I mean, that could be the least important part of it. It's about the merger. It's possible that this is a front for something else. Of course, none of this is, all of this is highly speculative. It's stuff that we're speculating on because of the Trump connection and now this relatively suspicious murder. It's very possible it's coincidence. It genuinely, that's the assumption that we should begin on. The default assumption is coincidence. But it is worth looking into. But yes, I think you're right, Revlon. And I wouldn't have suspected that the actual fusion power generation part of this was a reason to kill him. And even if it was, killing the one professor who knows about fusion wouldn't hurt the industry. So yeah, I don't think it's that. A lot of investor money goes into this stuff. Not just government subsidy, like that too, but a lot of investor money goes into it. So the markets aren't against this stuff. Obviously, there could be some part of it that is, but that isn't what I'd suspect. Pegging mercenary section. Yeah, indeed. Ginger says, you've gotten it pretty spot on there. Magnetic fields can push, for once, I was expecting Ginger to correct me, but thank you, Ginger. Magnetic fields can push plasma, so plasma can push magnetic fields. Push those magnetic fields through a coil and you get electricity. Theoretically, this allows for energy generation that doesn't have the lossy step of boiling water first, potentially huge. Exactly. I think Revlon maybe, from what I've seen, maybe slightly understating how cool this could be. I believe this is expected potentially to produce commercially viable fusion power generation rates. Revlon says he seems to have been a researcher, not an administrator, so merger is tangential to him. I would expect he had no real influence on it in any way. Well, if we're looking into the merger and it's his area of interest, there's a good chance he was too. Just because he's a researcher in the technology and not an administrator doesn't mean that he wouldn't have access to some information that we wouldn't, or that he doesn't know administrators, people that would be interested in this field. In fact, I think he would. So again, what you're saying is true, but it doesn't knock down what we're looking into here, I don't think. I know it's rare, but you're not always wrong. Thank you, Ginger. Appreciate that. Thank you. This is something I have looked into a little bit. I've probably forgotten more than I learned, but still, it's very interesting. Took says, plus it's fusion, we can create elements using it. Yes, we can, but I don't think this is how you would do that. For creating elements, you can't create really enough, I don't think, to make it useful, more so than just finding it where it's already been created. But there's some exceptions, actually. If you know of any, let me know. But usually what comes out of the fusion reactor is considered a byproduct or a waste product, but it's not harmful. That's the difference between fusion and fission. It's usually what's produced by a fusion reactor is not actually harmful. Often it's just water. But I think it can create radioactive elements, but it's much less dangerous generally than fission. Just usually, thank you guys. But yeah, the difficulty with fusion like this is often not how you generate the power; it's how you get the fuel. Deuterium is something that is often used, and it's very common. But tritium is often needed for these reactions, and it's much rarer, much harder to find. And so often they will have a reactor that produces those elements, just produces them, and then a fusion reactor that extracts energy from them. And if you already had the elements in large supply ready to go, it would be much easier to generate power gainfully from nuclear fusion. But because you also have to generate them as well, that cuts into the profits. And I think Helion and probably also these guys do use an initial reactor to produce the fuel. Would breeder reactor be the right word for that? Either way, to produce the fuel initially. But because the magnetic field method is so efficient and the sort of plasma thing method is so efficient, it is overall effective. Machine does look different from the Helion one, because with the Helion one, they send the plasma through the pipe into the middle, and then they send it in pulses. But this one looks, at least from these animations, like it's not pulse. I'm not sure about that. You're thinking hydrogen fusion creates a massive amount of radiation. The kind of radiation that's harvested in the reactor, I think, usually, but the byproducts I don't think are radioactive.
Would you like me to explain it?
To be honest, Ginger, maybe I should get you to explain it, but this is not the point. We're looking into a murder here. I should move on. I just like this stuff. But we could talk about it another time.
It wouldn't take me long.
Okay, go ahead.
Fission reactors split big elements into slightly smaller elements,
yes,
and produce a lot of energy and a lot of radioactive waste in the process.
Yes.
The radioactive waste happens because the smaller elements that are produced are still big enough to themselves put out radiation for a long period of time afterwards.
Yes.
The helium that is produced as a waste product from a fusion reaction is not radioactive. There is a lot of radiation produced, ionizing radiation specifically, but that radiation is only produced at the point at which it goes from hydrogen to helium. There is no residual radiation produced. If the fusion reactor is running, it's putting out a shitload of radiation. If for some reason the fusion reactor stops, all the radiation immediately stops with it. There is no fallout. There is no residual radiation output.
That is, I think, what I said pretty much. But thank you for confirming it. Yeah. So there you go. It's more so that fission produces radioactive waste, which you have to do something with, which we're quite good at when it's handled properly. But fusion doesn't. Fusion has often been seen as much more appealing because it's cleaner. Of course, fission is still worth doing, but fusion would. I mean, there's a reason we've been pursuing it as a species for so long. It is kind of tragic, though, to look at what Helion and what these guys are doing, where these kinds of reactors are probably the better choice, and then to look at what is happening with ITER, ITER, with their colossal, like 10-story tall tokamak, I think, or accelerator, either way, a conventional, older style of fusion reactor, where it's just, we'll just make it bigger, because assumedly that will produce some better circumstances to make it more efficient. And the cost of that compared to the cost of this must be astronomical. Because they literally have like chunks of steel to build this reactor, which are the size of a building. And they combine them together in these massive pieces. Seems like it may be a waste, but I don't know, maybe that's useful research. Fission really creates 5% unusable, highly radioactive waste. Well, sure, but that's still a decent quantity in absolute terms. Fusion produces, I think, none, or very nearly none, which is good. Yeah. Yeah, indeed, Ginger. Okay. So, yes, anyway, could there be a conspiracy involved with this guy? Yes, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the sort of any sort of clear reason to think so. Israel's involvement is weird. Like, that's the thing that makes me the most suspicious, honestly. Israel, like, getting involved and suddenly investigating it. The Trump merger is with a fusion company, and he's a fusion professor. That's not a very good connection. Fusion is a relatively strong field of study in science. Definitely worth considering this, and definitely worth keeping our eyes open for more evidence on it. So far, I would say more likely a coincidence, but keep an eye on that for sure. See what else we've got on this. We had a look at that one already. See what this is. Same guy. Israel claims possibility Iran involved in murder of MIT nuclear scientists in Boston. The assessment has not yet been verified and is not supported by this stage of official findings. So, why would you trust Israel's word? But let's, for a moment, hypothetically, if Iran is involved, if they did this deliberately, which I don't know why they would, the Portuguese-Iran connection, apparently, then that could explain why Israel is investigating, because Israel just doesn't like Iran. Any example they can find where Iran is shitting on their turf, as Israel likely sees the US to some extent, they would want to fuck with Iran over that. Try and make the connection to Iran. Now, stepping out of that for a second, what's more likely, I suspect, is if Israel is directly involved, which given their direct involvement here seems possible, and given the otherwise seeming lack of motive, and everything else odd about this case, then they would love to blame their current geopolitical enemy for it if they can get that believed by people. Them just saying this when no one else has purported a motive will get people to think, well, I don't know what it was, but these guys said it was Iran. People tend to default to that if you just present a claim like that, if there's no other claim being presented by an official source. Now, Israel is hardly an official source, but it's just official enough that people might default to believe it. Oh, it was Iran, by the way. How do you know? Well, they'll forget where they heard it, but that will spread. So I don't know, a bit of a long shot, but that's a possibility as well. I believe on this one, as in many stories we review, we probably don't have enough evidence to make a conclusion on it yet. We just bombed Iran's nuclear energy program, so they actually have a lot of motive to kill US scientists. Possibly. Seems like a very small scale retaliation, though. But that could be it. if so, Israel's connection to it might be non-malicious. Thing with Israel is, what are they not involved with, says Revlon. Yeah. Possibly. Vomit again, says Took, yeah. Sounds like the Iberian Peninsula needs another Inquisition, maybe. I don't think this is a Portuguese fault, really. Although it is strange that they both were Portuguese and that they went to the same university together. There's a lot here, I think, that we don't know. There's a lot here I suspect nobody knows, but I'm very open to hearing theories from chat. Maybe there's connections I should be making. Let me know if you think there are. See what else I have here. Quote, the motive was clearly against physics, end quote. A Columbia student on the anonymous Ivy League forum side chat says a Brown student posted the following comment on the platform. Quote, if you look at Brown's course planner, it shows the physics final was scheduled for that exact same date and time, but he reportedly went to the lecture location instead of the final by mistake, where an economics review was taking place. That's weird. Because physics finals happening at the exact same time and day. The lecture instead of the final by accident. Then the physics professor. I think in the end it goes to show how critical it is for us to be there for each other, blah, blah, blah. Sure, you're right. So that's rather interesting. Either implies that he was a fucking moron or that something else was going on. That implies that he didn't really have access to the like schedule for where they would be at what time, and just got unlucky that the day he chose to do this was the day when people were in different places than he expected them to be in. That's strange, though. Nacho says so he just spurged. Well, I don't think he was a student. If he entered the building, especially with a gun, which, by the way, how did he do that? I would guess they'd have metal detectors, but maybe not. If he entered the building with a gun, then he already probably had some sort of intent to do violence. I mean, that's not necessarily the case. It doesn't have to be always, but in modern universities, it's really difficult to get it in there somewhat. Hello, Vodka. Vodka's still alive. Vodka, I tried you recently. I tried vodka. Yeah, I'll talk about that after this. If he did that, he probably already had the intent to kill. And it sounds like he then went to find the professor after that. So he probably did have the intent to kill, but he just fucked up the location. Just so happens, by sheer chance, that on that day they were doing a final rather than the lecture, so they were in different rooms. Again, it's a strange coincidence. This one is hard to infer any conspiratorial motive from, though, because the killer was disadvantaged by it. I don't know, maybe there's something to it. Oozley got hammered on vodka, sucked him down. How dare you, Nachos? Nachos, this is casus belli for me to continue mocking you on stuff, just so you know. But no, I tried vodka because I had mentioned this earlier. Really, really terrible toothache today. And I tried to sort of disinfect the area, and I was recommended to use it as pain relief because other pain relief wasn't helping. Again, Nachos. But vodka tastes like cleaning chemicals. And when I first tried whiskey, I thought, that's weird, this tastes like cleaning chemicals. And I realized recently, the reason they taste like cleaning chemicals is because cleaning chemicals often contain alcohol. Kind of a dumb thing to have not realized before. I probably did think about it subconsciously, just hadn't sort of consciously thought about it. Yes, indeed, Wolf. But that was a realization, and that's probably why I don't like them very much. I don't understand the appeal. Unless you're just using them to get drunk, I don't understand the appeal. They don't really taste of anything else. Is almost to take antibiotics? Yes, but I don't have any to hand. Why have you been drinking cleaning chemicals? Because they are marketed as drinkable alcohol. Aiden left some vodka behind here, and it's been on a shelf, not being used. And I only drank it because of my injury. Vodka says, sorry about being gone for so long. Felt like shit, so I couldn't be asked with getting on voice. No worries at all, Vodka. Hope you're doing well. I did see you pop into chat a couple times, but yeah, you weren't talking. Hopefully you're okay. Mixed vodka with summer fruits juice 1-to-1 ratio. Interesting. I could try putting vodka in things, but the thing is, I don't really have any great desire to drink alcoholic beverages. I do have some fruit juice though. Maybe I will try mixing them. Just like going for hours about nuclear fusion. Go
Are you
on.
drinking liquor now? Are you also going to drink the liquor or are you just going to swish it around?
No, I haven't drunk very much of it. I think you and I talked about the possibility of like of the me having like apple juice and vodka, so it tastes nicer. But that would just be less pleasant apple juice. Well, says apparently dissolving Skittles in vodka is good. That's strange.
It is good. You let them dissolve. Yeah,
Starburst too.
Yep.
And so gummy bears in them too. Like I like gummy bears and rum.
All of these are good ideas.
I think I'd rather just have the sweets.
But why not both?
But why both?
You
Why
know
would I
what's
want the
even
vodka?
More fun than dissolving a gummy bear in vodka is dissolving a gummy bear into liquid oxygen and then lighting it on fire with a match. Now there's some fun.
Tougher to do that at home, though.
It depends if you've got the equipment for it.
That's what I mean. You need the equipment. So yeah. Anything else on this case, chat? Because I'm struggling to come to any good conclusions here. There's a lot of potential connections here, but none I'm seeing is particularly strong. I suspect the fusion connection is a coincidence. The Israel connection, though, is odd. But if Iran genuinely was involved, then Israel's involvement may not be suspicious. It is odd. Aiden, would you lean towards conspiracy here? That this was all set up? I mean, the fact the cameras weren't working either, but as I said, that could also be explained. And you put all these things together, if you're taking the more conspiratorial approach to all of these connections, then there's something there for sure. And there definitely could be. But I do believe the cock-up explanation in each of these cases, or the non-conspiratorial explanation, is plausible enough that that should be our default assumption, but obviously with an openness to conspiracy. I'm not seeing clear evidence that it goes beyond that, though. It is odd that they knew each other. I mean, that on its own might be enough evidence that this wasn't a conspiracy, at least not from the outside. That the Trump connection, the Israel connection, and the camera fuck up, the three very most suspicious aspects of this, are just innocent or cock-ups, and that it was a personal revenge thing. Why? Good fucking question. Why 25 plus years later would he want revenge on some professor? Good fucking question. Maybe it was an envy thing. Maybe this professor was very successful. And he wanted, and this guy wasn't. Don't know. Could spend more time speculating on it. Perhaps we'll come back to it later. And let me know if you have any ideas, chat, as to what this could be. I think we'll move on for now. Chat's just talking about alcohol. Mixing vodka with cider leads to a drunken racist rant in a Wetherspoons. Well, I mean, that's kind of my job, just not in a Wetherspoons. But I don't need to be drunk for that. Though this helps, though it's empty now. It's broken. Chat, it's broken. Help, it's broken. Aiden, can you order me some Monster, please? I'm joking, don't. Last 2 times I've said that as a joke, you did it. For like the painkillers and the pizza. No, I have more Monster in the fridge. I don't need it. Although, if you want to pass me the Monster from the fridge, which is about 3 meters away, to my hand, that would be appreciated. Order him Monster and make him feel bad, says Toog. Any volunteers from the Woman Alliance who want to put on the maid outfit and just carry the Monster? Then you know, I don't mind. Let's continue with the stream and see if I can find some other stories. So, our headline story today, aside from the shooting, is the weed. There you go. Trump signs executive order changing marijuana to Schedule 3 drug. Which I believe it was Schedule 1 before, because war on drugs, which is now, I guess, over, finally. Wormhole says Lord of the Rings makes the best drinking game. How would we drinking game Lord of the Rings? Let's talk about this actually briefly, because I must remind you, chat, and part of the reason I'm running this stream is because I want to remind people that we will be doing a Cabal Tradition Lord of the Rings watch-through event this weekend, being tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. There is the link for it. Please mark yourself as interested, and you will get an alert when we start. I'm hoping to get plenty of people watching, because we've had plenty of people in previous years. Every single year we've done this as well. Go on.
And the best part is, we won't have a Wes pausing it every 5 minutes to explain how Aragorn broke his toe kicking that helmet.
That does annoy me because everyone knows that. it's like the extended edition thing. Everyone has to signal that they know about the extended edition, and the kicking the helmet breaking his toe thing is the next level up from that. Slightly less people know, but still enough that it's not worth saying. Oh, fucking Took didn't know. Maybe you mean about Wes. Wes was not pausing it every 5 minutes. A little unfair there. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of the WAP, but it's every 5 minutes. But people didn't like the style. Some people didn't like the style of him sort of trying to add to it by giving trivia and explaining things. And I think sometimes he was a little bit too verbose. We will keep it.
All I'm going to say is that we might actually get through it in a reasonable time frame, like several days.
We will, 95% just be watching the movie. We'll maybe pause for a break every now and again, maybe pause if something interesting is being said. But we'll try to keep it to a minimum and just stick to the movie. But it wouldn't be as much worth it to watch it with people if we weren't sometimes going to talk about it. So we'll try to keep that to a low level, but I'm not against it happening. But then obviously in text, there'll be plenty of conversation, plenty of chatting. And it's something that we should watch, really. And it's partly a bonding exercise. And every year we've done this, 8-Bit, who's now in the audience, has made some brilliant artwork. 8-Bit, if you have that artwork from previous years, I'd really appreciate you posting all the ones that you have, because it's been good every time. And maybe we'll be so lucky that 8-Bit will make some similar artwork for us this year. Hold up, she's getting it. Okay, fantastic. Maybe we will be so lucky that she would. I'd really appreciate it. A bondage exercise. Shut the fuck up, Wolf. I mean, that would also be a bonding exercise, depending on the circumstances. Too, because I don't need a lore dump every 5 minutes just to watch the movie. It wasn't quite that bad. But some people didn't like the style. I didn't mind it, to be honest. We've had quite a few new people joining Cabal in the last day or so, and from what I understand, they've been invited by Ibsy, who is a member who's been in Cabal for a few months, and has been fairly quiet, not interacted very much, but she seems nice. So thank you to her. No, she says, "Oh God, no, don't worry. No, most of them aren't women." I know that's what you're scared of, but yeah, a few new members. That's good. Thank you, and I believe 1 or 2 of them are listening here today. Yeah, so this is one of the pieces of artwork that 8-Bit made. I believe this was the more recent one? I think it was. Lots of people there. Of course, some of these people now are no longer active in Cabal, which is a shame, but plenty of them are, and plenty more, frankly enough to replace them in numbers, are newly active in Cabal. So we may get similar numbers. As you can see, Aiden's there. I'm there as well. Ginger is there, plenty of other people that you'd recognize. And many of these will be there again. And while this was happening, of course, I believe this was the most recent one, which was maybe 2023. You had Dai and Atronach down there watching Naruto in the corner. But 8-Bit put a lot of effort into making all these Chad faces, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, thank you, 8-Bit. And thank you for giving yourself credit as well. I think I may have recommended that you do that, because you deserve credit for the quality of this artwork. If you need any more assets like this background from me, if you want the background I'm currently using to use as the Lord of the Rings background, by all means, I can sort that out for you. Just let me know what you need. Oh yeah, Brit Twitter's good point. We could spin the wheel for the new members. Tell you what, let's do that towards the end of the stream. We'll try and focus on the news for now. Towards the end of the stream. Yeah. Good stuff. We'll do this, and I'll. You know that there's sometimes some tech issues when I do screen share. For this, it's important enough that I'll whip out the fucking Windows laptop I've got spare, and I'll just stream it off that, because that's a simple system that should be reliable enough to just stream it. I'll transfer the video files directly over to it. I think I did that last time, so the video files might still be on there. And then sometime in the future, we will also watch the appendices, which are excellent, much longer. But also, you can sort of dip in and out a bit more to those. Who here hasn't seen Lord of the Rings? Because there's always a few people that just haven't seen it at all. Nachos, I'm sure, hasn't seen it, right? Nachos, because you're female and women don't do cool shit, right? Has anyone here not seen it? Anyone here willing to be shamed for not seeing it yet? I bet my wife hasn't. Okay. Just admit I haven't seen the appendices. The appendices are very good. You should join for watching them. Watched it like 20 years ago. Well, that's when it was roughly when it was new. Watch it once a year with Brickles. Fair enough. Well, I don't know if you want to make this your once a year, but hopefully you'll be able to join us. But yeah, it's Lord of the Rings is now between 25 and 22 years old. 3 releases. I think they were 2001, 2, and 3. Maybe there was 2001 and 2. Either way, a long time ago. In order to be a member of Western countries, you have to watch movies. Alongside the bacon cheeseburger test for immigration to Western countries, you have to answer a quick Lord of the Rings trivia quiz. Yes, I agree. Fantastic, Nachos. I'd be glad to have you. I says, I binge watched the extended cuts a month or so ago, but it's a good time, so more Lord of the Rings. Yes, even if you've watched it recently, hopefully you will come join us, even just to create the community atmosphere of having plenty of people active and joining us. Because I know that at least as of about a year ago, and not even a year ago, less than that now, we had 80 plus people in voice at once for a certain de-wappening that we were going through. Now, not to dwell on the topic, but a lot of people were up for it. A lot of people were up for joining when there was something on. Hopefully this is enticing enough. And I know my streams barely entice you at all, chat, but hopefully this would be enticing enough that a bunch of you will join for it. If Nachos and Brickles are joining to watch, then you better host it in Pit 4 in case the plap plap noises come through. Wolf, are you trying to muscle in there? You're thinking about that a lot, aren't you? Just me. Well, yeah, just you. Thank you, Born, for the Monster Fund, the Dental Fund, whichever. Yeah, it'll be a bit of both, to be honest. Nachos, once again, leg posting. Thank you, Nachos. But hey, Nachos has the books. Fantastic. Born, let me throw you the Cabal credit. Thank you for the contribution, Born. If anyone else would like to contribute, here is the link. And of course, with the contribution, you can influence the Cabal Aid board. So... why is it? It's so strange, Born. With Discord's system where you select a user, I can't do it with mention for you. I have to paste in the ID. I don't know why it does that. Okay, so how much was it? I need to automate this. I've been coding some stuff recently, chat, and this is fairly close on my list. Subscribe star. Yep, it is added, Born. It is weird. I don't know. It's just your account so far that I've found that happens with. I appreciate it, Ginger, but you should do that the reading thing you said, and if people pay you for it, then well deserved. Okay. So yes. Briefly, I'll mention that I made a new system recently, which is to deal with a potential exploit in Discord, which could be harmful to the server. It's not that likely it would be, but it's always been something in the back of my mind that I'm aware that it could be done and that I should build a defense for it. I have now built a defense for it. And because I have built that defense, I won't tell you exactly what the exploit is, but it relates to invites. I've opened up invites to level 1. So it used to be that you required level 2 to create an invite, and I used to get people asking me, hey, can I invite this person to the server? Because they assumed it was not an open invite server. It is. But the way to do it usually is to use the cabal.oozly.net link or one of the other links. However, being able to right-click invite to server is really convenient, so I want that to be available. So now that I've built this system to defend against that exploit, I've opened up invites to more people. So level 1s can do it now. And I may open it up to white names as well. But of course, that increases the risk significantly because someone can just rejoin with multiple alts and continue trying to exploit it. With level 1, at least you have to pass the manual check, even though it's a simple check. So if you're level 1 and you want to invite someone to the server, now is the time to test out, right-click, invite to server, and that should now work. It wouldn't have done before. And in fact, I would appreciate if you do, even if you're just testing it, even with someone that's already in the server, for example, because I need to see what my system does when that happens. I've set it right now to a really tight limit so that I can see what happens when we get over the limit. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, I'd appreciate it. Online says, so considering exploit is guarded against, do you want to tell the story of that exploit use? It was pretty funny. Okay, so right now the system is in a lower powered state because I want to test it in situ, but I'll power it up fully once I'm happy it works, and then I'll do one or two things to make sure it stays running permanently. Then I'll talk about the exploit. It is very funny. But of course, the more I talk about it, the more it may be patched by other servers. And I'd like to be able to, to have it in the back pocket just in case we need to use it in the future. But yes, Ravelon, if you remember the story, keep that in mind. Because I don't remember probably as well as you do. But it was an outreach op, let's just say, and it was very funny. And we could do it again. So yes, there you go. Dave says white names is a bad idea. It is, unless this system is rock solid. Right now, the way I've designed it, it's not a perfect defense, but it's much better than nothing. So I will consider opening up to white names. But maybe I could build a better one that would be near perfect defense, but it would take a lot more effort. So yeah, other than that, I'm working on some other code. I do want to work on getting automatic Cabal credit conversions up and running. And then adding the cheer thing back where you can type in cheer. I haven't wanted to do that yet because the old TP system does still automatically count your contributions, and I want that to be available still, but that uses cheer. So it's all a bit up in the air right now, but I want to try and fix that. Anyway, that's that topic, community stuff. Was there something else community related that I was going to... Oh yeah, I did make some changes to the Cabal charter. Not necessarily worth you looking into in great detail, chat, but if you look in the status channel, I posted about the changes. They're not changes which change sort of how the server works. I just updated one of the pages and added a rule to expand coverage of something to something that I think we would all agree makes sense to cover. So that's all it is. Have a look in the status channel if you want more details. And there is, with the Cabal charter, a GitHub, so you can see the full history of all the changes that I've made to it, which makes it more accountable. There you go. Is Brickles a feeder? Ah, just like Aiden. No response. I guess she's not contending that. Okay. We could spin the wheel for the newcomers. Now, Triple isn't here and neither are they, so it's not the optimal time. But if one of the newcomers joins audience, let me know and we can spin the wheel for them. Maybe we'll do it later as well. Yeah. Yeah, I think Nachos, you do look very thin from your leg pictures that you keep posting. Anyway, yes, thank you, Ipe, for doing this art. Hopefully we'll have a good time again this year. £25. And to me, that's currency. Anyway, yeah, so let's talk about weed, shall we? That's good, motherfucker. Let's talk about weed. Weed is a drug taken by weedoids. They sometimes ingest one whole marijuana. The article here says, yo, all the stoners out there, if your eyes are open, I got some news for you. If your eyes are closed, listen up.
Today I'm pleased to announce that I will be signing an executive order to reschedule marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 controlled substance with legitimate medical uses. We have people begging for me to do this, people that are in great...
This is a great idea. It's him trying to claw back some popularity to some extent, but the nice thing about that is sometimes politicians have to actually do something good because of that. Like you can be cynical about it, that oh, he's just doing it to but also he is still doing it. So there's that. The accountability thing kind of works, at least better than not at all. This is a good idea, I think, even though I don't think weed is a good idea. But so it's not legalized, but it's nowhere near as bad as some other drugs. But more importantly, it has genuinely pretty notable medicinal uses. From what I understand, compared to opioids or to Tylenol, two things that he's talked about recently for good reason, they have less side effects, despite the fact that they have significant medicinal uses. Now, the Tylenol thing is for pregnancy, and I don't think weed's a good idea to do in pregnancy either, so don't use it for that. But for opioids particularly, where the entire US medical system relies on them, I expect weed would be a pretty good replacement for that because it's not addictive. Mm-hmm. What's one of you saying? Someone's talking in the background. Was that Aiden?
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Nachos, why violence? Arblas says schedule 3 opens it up for medical testing. Yeah, seems like a good idea. This kind of thing would significantly help against the opioid epidemic, I expect, if it starts to be used. I don't know for sure, but I imagine weed is actually cheaper than opiates. I don't know for sure. It's at least probably comparable. It is, says the two. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
So that seems like a good idea. Like, I think legalizing it would be questionable, definitely. And that every experiment that the US has done with that in various states has either been neutral, inconclusive, or bad. But making it less illegal and opening it for medical uses, I don't see a downside to that. Nachos, I think you've said before that you work in a dispensary, right? Do you have an opinion on this?
I do. I have several opinions. I feel like it just needs to be made recreationally legal, but I understand some of the opposition to that. But this reclassification is really good. It opens it up for all kinds of new medical testing. Just giving it that designation is a really big boost. So I support.
Okay, Nachos, there is one problem with what you just said.
And
every time I smell weed, my desire to become a literal fascist and start killing people spikes dramatically.
Yeah, some strains have some really dank smells. Some people really don't like the odor, and I totally understand that. But
it literally smells like an open sewer. In fact, I have smelled open sewers that smell better than certain strains of weed.
See, the strain that I have some cheddar cheese right now, and it literally smells like cheesy puffs and gets me high as fuck. So
that sounds disgusting. And Nachos,
what? No, it's
are you sure? Are you sure you want to say that the area immediately around you stinks of cheese? Are you sure that's what you want to say, Nachos? Given the lore about you, given the lore.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Oh, god damn it.
You know cheese stuffed crust pizza? Imagine that, but between a pair of legs.
Ugh.
Yes, thank you, James May. Cheese. We have a story about cheese today, actually, funnily enough, that includes that.
That includes James May?
Yes.
Yeah.
I told you about it earlier, Aiden.
You did? Oh,
yeah, I tell you what, let's do that quickly now. I tell you what, you did forget. You know who else forgets things? Alzheimer's patients.
Right, you did tell me about this. Yeah, whoops.
Long-term study, which could be bullshit, shows people who eat high-fat cheese and cream are less likely to develop dementia. 15 years dumped into useless research on Alzheimer's because of one faulty study about neural plaques or something, which apparently wasn't what was causing them, but kind of looked like it was. Alzheimer's is only one form of dementia, as far as I understand, but it's a major one. And all you had to fucking do was eat more cheese, Gromit. That's it.
No problem eating more cheese. Let's go.
That's fine. That's fine by me. I'll just eat more cheese then. Fat is good for you more to 11, says Arbla. Fair enough. TLD, a healthy fat is needed for neurons. Yeah.
I like to add a little bit of orange colorant to my cheese to make it look more American. I did this yesterday.
That's pretty fucking weird, but to each their own. Wouldn't be the first weird thing you've done.
It tastes better when it looks more orange. I swear to God.
Just buy Red Leicester, it's better.
Yeah, well, I didn't have Red Leicester. I had cheddar, so I put some orange colorant in it.
Why didn't you use blue color? And that would have been funny.
Munster's really good.
Oh, I do. I have a butterfly pea powder, but that would have worked, but it would have looked weird.
The study that cheeseheads have been looking for. People who regularly ate higher fat cheese and cream had a lower risk of developing dementia over 25 years, according to a new study. Fat being useful for neurons, I didn't know, but that makes sense. I could buy it.
Nerves. I mean,
all
of
nerves,
your
fair
nerves
enough.
are surrounded with the myelin sheath, which is fat. So, yeah, fat is good for you.
Maybe I'm not the one that you should be feeding then. I didn't even have to be told this, they say. I guess my body's constant desire for fatty cream and whole milk was just a natural desire to fight off dementia. You know what? Just because of this is a fantastic excuse. It's the only excuse I needed. I will buy and eat more cheese. Fantastic. It keeps my brain healthy. Then again, I'm sure you can get this from, like, I have every morning, every single day, I have a full English breakfast. And the nice thing about them is that they're protein and fat. No carbs, even not very many vitamins, I don't think. But very little of other food groups.
Depending on what's it. If it's a proper full English, there's carbs in there.
With what? With the beans?
Beans are carbs.
Are they?
Toast
Okay.
are carbs. Black pudding's carbs.
I don't have toast or black pudding with it, but yes, that would be included. But yeah, I mean, the point is it's mostly protein and fat, as far as I understand. And just as nerves are tiny, low-power electric cables, they need insulation. Fat is insulation. Get some fat on your nerves, make the brain go faster. That makes sense. Yeah. I'll buy some cheese then. Those who consume 50 grams a day or more of high-fat cheese daily, roughly a third of a cup, had a lower overall risk of dementia, vascular dementia, a form of cognitive decline caused by impaired blood flow to the brain, according to the 25-year Swedish study of nearly 28,000 people published in Neurology, the medical journal of the American Academy of Neurology. Okay. We've just unlocked a superpower, they say. People who average at least 20 grams of high-fat cream, at least about 1.5 tablespoons, also showed a lower dementia risk, the study indicated. Has to be high-fat cheese. The low-fat alternatives made no difference in the fight against dementia, but the fatty stuff, the good stuff, did. Fantastic.
Unfathomably based.
It is. Source and quality of dairy may matter too. A neurologist specializing in dementia prevention of the... I can't believe we made this connection. We go from fucking weed to nachos as weed, cheesy weed and pussy, and now to the cheese curing dementia. And now straight from dementia back to pain relief of weed. And it's a full circle. Not all cheese is created equal. They say what a cow eats determines what's in the milk, and that determines what's in the cheese. Cheese, Gromit! How many of you have not seen Wallace and Gromit? I did play it in Cabal like a year ago. Eating high-fat cream can't prevent dementia in every case, as with Biden. But no, it probably helped. There's a reason he kept doing it. A certain genetic marker, however, proved that even the high-fat cheese made no difference for some individuals. So, unfortunately, some people...
However, who's got the genetic marker is the curious question there. I'd have to read the study, because I bet that's racial.
It might well be. That's the first thing I'd look to. These findings do not prove that eating large amounts of high-fat cheese and cream prevents dementia. It's an observational study. Cheese and cream may simply be markers of broader eating patterns and lifestyle factors. That's, of course, true. Not a green light to dramatically increase intake, she said. As far as I'm concerned, yes, it is. Still, just in case, eat lots of cheese. Yeah, I don't see why not. That's good, King Engine. Goku, you bugger. Get off me cheese. Wallace and Gromit, such a classic. At some point, I should just do like, that's pretty good. At some point, I should just do like British month, where we just watch British stuff. Like we can do Blackadder, which I like a lot. We can do Wallace and Gromit. We can do some Yes Minister. You find some other stuff as well. November's a good time to do it, actually, because we're also watching V for Vendetta during November, which is also, it's at least about Britain. I don't know if it's British made. Father Ted's not bad. Yeah, it's not one of my favorites, but it's fine. Put that on too. I mean, we don't have to make it a special month. We can do that any time. Yeah, geez, Gromit. Anyway, back to the Trump thing. Where did I put it? Not that one. That one.
Pain. For decades, this action has been requested by American patients suffering from extreme pain, incurable diseases, aggressive cancers, seizure disorders, neurological problems, and more, including numerous veterans with service-related injuries and older Americans who live with chronic medical problems and severe.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know of at least one source who will tell me that weed is an excellent painkiller. Wolf has posted a picture of Rowan Atkinson as Mr. Bean. I'd like to make it very clear to you that Rowan Atkinson is funny as his silly, dumb, retard roles, such as Mr. Bean and Johnny English, and Blackadder in Series 1. However, I'd like to put it to you with gusto and strong confidence that he is significantly better in his less retarded roles. Namely, Blackadder from Series 2 onwards, and Doctor Who. Yes, he did play Doctor Who. So I strongly recommend it. If you've only seen Mr. Bean, or you've only seen Johnny English, or his silly roles, strongly recommend you see him in some other roles. I think he's much better as the intelligent man. Yes, he was the best Doctor Who. He also is a strong free speech advocate in real life, and he's done a pretty well-known speech in favor of free speech. Yes, indeed. He's also, his kind of comedy is all, it's never stand-up, it's never like candid. It's always like scripted and acted. But he's so good at that. An example, you know what, BritTwit? Let's just play this.
Conservatives are back in power. What a wonderful word. But with a new initiative, and above all, a new style. And we are mostly concerned with two main issues. Firstly, immigration. Now, people really do get this party wrong every time on this issue, don't they? We don't think immigrants are animals, for God's sake. I know a lot of immigrants personally, and they're perfectly nice people. They're black, of course, which is a shame. But honestly, some of them can do some jobs almost as well as white people, and we acknowledge this. Now, a lot of immigrants are Indians and Pakistanis, for instance, and I like curry. I do. But now that we've got the recipe...
Very good. Unfortunately, it may be that he was sort of mocking the right-wing position from a left-wing position there, but it's also possible that he wasn't. I don't know if he's actually really a leftist in real life. I don't think he has strong leaning either way. But yeah, it's very good.
His Welcome to Hell sketch.
I've seen most of his sketches. But yeah, that one's a particularly good one, I think, as I remember. We should watch some Rowan Atkinson later. I mean, I don't have anything particularly lined up for after stream, so let's just do that after stream. Just spend the rest of the evening watching Rowan Atkinson stuff, including Blackadder. I've been wanting to show you guys Blackadder for a while. I played it in Cabal several years ago, but there's many new people here that haven't seen it. Atkinson leans very hard Tory. Does he really? Interesting. I tell you what, though, I mentioned earlier that if someone new shows up in audience, then we'll spin the wheel for them. However, JK is here. He's new, clearly watching, but not watching in the audience channel. So prepare yourself, JK, for the wheel. This is the Cabal Newcomer wheel, created by Triple Dice Cat. It used to be the wheel of Ted, but its purpose has been broadened. We will now spin it for you. Yeah, naturally, a lot of people didn't get a wheel spin because this is a new concept. We may at some point just spin it for everyone. Just go through everyone that hasn't had it spun for them and spin it. But for right now, it's just a wheel of newcomers. JK says I'm going to get executed. Not likely, but it may be possible. Let's have a look.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Congratulations, JK. You got yourself a brand new role.
You get the pass.
Is a shame. Nice people. They're black, of course, which is a shame.
That's about JK. JK, you're black, of course, which is a shame. Chat, press 1 if JK needs the melanated role. John Wick says, it's funny you mention newcomers. Me and Uncle Jonathan both got friend requested by some furry called Cuddle Paws in Cabal. I saw some people posting about that. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't recognize them, actually. But I recommend that have a little bit of caution. But what could they do, really? I mean, Cabal's a big server. It's an open server. Just because they're in Cabal doesn't mean that they're sort of endorsed by it. Congratulations, JK. You're about to receive your very first role. Question, Wormhole, why did I give you melanated, or did you give it to yourself? Doesn't look like you did. Why did I give you that? Sure, there must have been a reason. Oh, it was the wheel. You get the same one. Do you get the same thing? JK's killing himself. Well, JK and Wormhole, you both have something in common now. There you go. Maybe would someone mind putting JK in enrollment? Since he seems to be reacting fine to this. And note that he got this as well.
Is this the first time a man has received a color roll before even achieving level 1?
No, it is relatively rare, but no, that has happened a few times before. Yeah, if you're going to kill yourself, do a flip. Definitely. And make sure that the other people that joined you attend one of these streams, because we'll spin the wheel for them as well, and they'll probably get choices they don't like either. Shall we return to the weed story? And I tell you what we could do, chat. Towards the end of today's stream, we could just like pick a few people and spin the wheel for them. Because there's no reason not to do this for everyone. It's just that it's only been created at a certain point, and it was only used for newcomers beyond that point. So yeah, we could just vote on who to spin it for. Anyway, let's finish with the weed story, because that's the last thing we need to do today.
Severely degrade their quality of life.
Yep, seems like a good idea. Trump signs the order. This is just him.
It's an honor
doing
to
so.
do this. Well, that's a good one.
Here it's done. Given that the policy of the schedule of the drug is, I guess, federal, this might just have come into effect. I don't know if Congress needs to vote on this or not. Would this be the DEA? And thus, I think he can just do this. Not sure, though. Either way, I think it's the right thing to do. This move will move marijuana from Schedule 1, the government's most restrictive drug category, to Schedule 3, the same category as testosterone or Tylenol with codeine. Okay, fair enough. That is quite quite open. I suppose this might lead to it being prescribed nationwide for pain openly, not available over the counter, but prescribed. Yeah, I was thinking about that, Ice. The game Schedule 1 might have to change, because I think that's not just about all Schedule 1 drugs, it's about weed specifically, isn't it? It can involve a lot of agencies, including the FDA. I suppose so, yeah. Cover the other good thing they did. But yes, I have that. I will do that next, actually. Good point. Schedule 3 status makes it easier for universities, hospitals, and pharmaceutical companies to study cannabis and develop standardized cannabinoid-based medications. Researchers have long argued that Schedule 1 classification imposed unnecessary hurdles, even as medical cannabis programs expand nationwide. Well, I think this is just overall a very good idea. You're not legalizing it, but you're recognizing its actual position in terms of danger and usefulness, whilst also probably combating the opioid epidemic by doing so. It's a really good idea. I don't think legalizing it necessarily would be, but it's a really good idea. They say what the order does not do is legalize cannabis sales or protect existing businesses. Flowers, edibles, and vape products remain illegal under federal law outside approved programs, and state laws still govern possession, sales, and enforcement. I think the states having the choice to legalize it or not is a good idea. Some are saying this isn't the greatest timing, they say. Rescheduling marijuana is not going to help Republicans win elections. This decision couldn't be more poorly timed. Republican support for marijuana is collapsing. Yeah, that's not good. He didn't legalize it, though, and I think, hey, maybe if levels were still as they were in 2023, he would have done, but maybe not. Either way, it's a good idea for other reasons. Response to melanated role. So look at this.
Sadly, you're raped. Sadly, you're raped.
Thank you, David Lammy. Appreciate that.
It sounds like he's saying. Okay, I can see from the subtitles. It says, "You're absolutely right."
I think that's a bit behind.
It sounds like he's saying. It sounds like he's saying, "Sadly, you're raped."
He's saying,
That's
if
what it sounds
sadly
like to me.
you are raped, then X, Y, Z, whatever. But he does start his sentence with, if sadly you're raped.
Anyone in chat called Sadly?
Sadly, you're raped.
David Lammy to anyone who goes through a trial without a jury because of him.
Indeed.
I do share a server with Sally. Should I relay it to her?
Perfectly nice people.
It's pretty close.
They're black, of course, which is a shame.
I want that clipped. I want him clipped by tomorrow. Yeah, you could do Ginger.
Sadly, you're raped.
But it doesn't sound very much like Sally, does it? Right. Clipped in the meanwhile by tomorrow, exactly. Marijuana shouldn't be rescheduled, says the Libertarian Party. It should be fully legalized. And there is an argument for that. I'm not sure it's that compelling, but I'm sort of on the fence on it. They say Trump is framing his weed rescheduling as a medical marijuana move. His own admin on a call today I've reviewed admitted that medical marijuana evidence is fake and was forced to acknowledge the massive tax break he just gave his big weed donors. That plays a bit too out there for me. As far as I understand, the medical marijuana thing is a huge potential advantage and so much better than opioids. So this seems wrong. His big weed donors, I don't think that's real either. Now, this post could be parody. I don't know. Maybe I'm misreading it. But if anyone's taking this seriously, I don't think they should. I don't think this is real. I don't think this is correct, even if it is real. Don't care, you're black. Very good. Cannabis Cloud looks like there's the least disgusting looking cannabis flower I could find. Yeah, that's not terrible. Something's just happened. Okay. I set up alerts for certain events, and I've just got some, so I appreciate that. Okay. Pegging enthusiast, indeed. Yeah. No, it hasn't been spun for Natchez officially, but it should. I mean, that's true. She is a pegging. I mean, she's a pegging mercenary. Isn't marijuana cheaper for making paper than how it's created currently? That's interesting. I don't know about that. It might be. Actually, chat, I'd like you to test if you can, especially those of you who are new or who have a patron role but no color. If you wouldn't mind testing one of the IAM commands, give yourself a role. There's a few new roles available, actually. Do /IAM list. You can see the roles. Maybe something on there that you would like. There are a few new ones, as I said. If you wouldn't mind testing it, because I've added a new feature which will inform me of when people use it. There might be something on there that you would like. JK can't spell. It's okay. You are, after all, black. I think you've kind of proved the point here. Well, that can't be right, Wolf. I mean, the last one was, but that can't be right. Hemp, which is the male cannabis plant, is good for paper and fabric. I have heard that, yeah. So, good. Maybe with Schedule 3 it could be used for that, though I think you'd still need to get that approved. So yeah, the marijuana thing, I will say it again, I think this is a good idea. I think this is all around a good idea. There's almost no downside to this. Could it lead to more people getting hooked on marijuana? Not physiologically addictive, but still psychologically addictive potentially, and ruining their lives? Maybe, but I think the difference there is quite marginal. JK, type /IAM, and it will pop up some commands that you can use. Select one of those commands. Start with IAM list. Again, the two blacks, the two newcomers with melanated, who the wheel said were black, neither of them can use the commands properly. It's prophecy. The wheel is never wrong. JK still can't do it. Maybe Discord's fucking up. Just type /IAM and it will pop up with suggestions for the commands. Just type IAM I'll show you. I'll show you a fucking screenshot. Like that. It's uploading. There you go. That's what pops up. Just use one of those commands. Arbla says the idea that hemp and cannabis are different plants got in the zeitgeist after some stoners lied to a Canadian court. That's pretty funny. Ah, good. Someone has tested it. Indeed.
What's up?
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Wormhole, for helping test that. Looks like it worked. Works when I did it properly. Yes, thank you. Aiden says Erica Kirk has been confirmed by Candace Owens as Jewish. Okay. Candace, of course, is the oracle who's right 1% of the time.
Her cousin's Jewish, so therefore.
Slam dunk. All right, well, there you go. Next story. The US House just passed legislation to criminalize transgender sex transitions on minors, including surgeries, puberty blockers, and hormone therapy. 207 Democrats and 4 Republicans voted against it. Here are the Republicans who voted against it: Gabe Evans, Brian Fitzpatrick, Mike Lawler, and Mike Kennedy. I don't know much about them, I don't think, but now I do. The only justification for this is the libertarian argument, but I disagree. I don't think that should apply to mutilating children. So yeah, good. Now, as I realized when I saw this, as Aiden's pointed out, as others have pointed out, this is probably an attempt with the timing to rehabilitate Trump's image. Now, it's not Trump directly doing this, it's Congress, but Trump may be involved. He may have pushed this to happen around now. Either way, it may have done that. But as I said earlier, even if that is it, even if it's being done with a cynical motive, it demonstrates that the system works to push accountability to some extent. And yes, this is still a good thing. Even if it should have been done straight away, it's still a good thing. Wolf says now ban it for adults. The libertarian argument is stronger there because it's their mistake to make. But it would still be better if no adult did it. Definitely. 8-Bit has posted the wood chipper, and for parents to do that to their children, it's not far off as bad as paedophilia. It's almost the same in some senses, and certainly it can be associated with it. It's very wrong. They can't make informed consent on this issue at all. It's not possible, as well. Well, not children, no. Adults technically could, but if they're mentally ill enough to do this, arguably that disqualifies them from doing it. But I think that should be debated on the grounds of potential government overreach. But I agree it shouldn't happen. Probably ever. Aiden says, mutilating your child's genitals, including circumcision, should be classified as child sexual abuse. Yes, I agree. Including circumcision. Yeah, no, I definitely get where you're coming from with that, Wolf, and that would be a reasonably strong argument when discussing this. I wouldn't take one side or the other strongly when it comes to should adults be allowed to do this in America, because it's a libertarian country. But I would definitely see the case for no, they shouldn't be allowed to. I mean, you can call it medical malpractice. It's never justified to do it. So it shouldn't ever be done. So I could see that. Lobotomy was banned for everyone. I see no reason why this shouldn't. Yeah, fair enough. If someone thinks that's justified, they should also think this is too. And I could see it. I mean, it's a medical procedure that does no good. But spread as if it did. Same thing here. So yeah, I guess I could see it. It's just that the counter argument would be the libertarian one, but yeah. No, I guess I'd lean towards, yeah, ban it then. All right, good. JK, did you find any roles on the list that you wanted? Using children as the proverbial guinea pigs for experimentation. Feet first into Chippy, says 8-Bit. Understandable sentiment. I says, yeah, I was about to say, where is the good for allowing it? There is no upside. There is no upside, no. The only argument in favor of allowing it is the default one for allowing anything, the libertarian argument. But as I said, I don't think that's strong. That's strong here. Not allowed to use that list. You should be allowed to use the list command. Oh, maybe I did restrict it. You know what, JK? This might not be your fault. It's possible that I left it on a mode where you need level 1 to use it. I may be retarded. No one put you in enrollment. Why did no one put you in enrollment? I asked someone to. What are you doing, chat? I have to do it myself now. Okay, that's done. Do I have that open, actually? I do have that open. I can check if I've set the commands to require a certain role. No, it looks like I haven't. So I'm not sure why you're not able to use it then, if it's not showing up for you. All of the various commands and subcommands of this don't require any permission. At least for them to show up. Maybe I added a permission here that's required to use it at all, but I don't think I did that. Have a look, actually. We'll do Control F permission. Oh, okay. It used to, but I have commented that out. So that's no longer in effect. It used to require a certain permission, but it doesn't anymore. That's the only thing in here about permission. So no, JK, the command will pop up for you. It should do anyway. Let me have a look, actually, because I can see where you've tried to use it. It looks like you never actually ran the command, unless you're... No, it looks like you never even ran the command. So are you sure? So it doesn't show up for you when you type in /IAM? Because it should do. Maybe it's a server permission thing where white names don't have permission to use commands. Let's have a look at that. Because if that's the case, then I'll change that. And that would, again, be back to not your fault. Nope. White name has permission to use application commands. Let's have a look at the bot itself. Cabal decorator. Commands. Everyone can use all of them. Commands /IAM. There's no overrides. I'm not seeing it. I think you should be allowed to do it. Comes up for nachos. Yeah, but you're not a white name. Are there any other white names here that can confirm that they're able to see /IAM? JK says it's because I'm black. Yes. Yeah, you could do Control-R to restart Discord. It might just not have loaded for you. It does do that sometimes. But I mean, it's not a new command. It should be registered there. It should have given you the command as soon as you joined the server. I'm starting to feel my toothache again, chat. I'm going to probably have some painkillers in a minute. We've been going for 3 hours so far. I think I should go for a bit longer. Promote Nachos to white name is being supported. What do you think, Nachos? Yeah, this is obviously good that they've done this. I tell you what, chat, I'm going to take a quick break and I'll decide then whether or not I'm going to continue with the stream or whether we'll just go and do community stuff after this. But you know, if you want me to continue streaming, the best way to encourage me would be to contribute via tip.oozloo.net or fund.oozloo.net. When I come back, if I see that there has been one, if I'm that lucky, then I will be much more likely to continue streaming. Thank you in advance for that. And if not, then perhaps we'll do something else after the stream. I'll be right back. Just going to take some painkillers. Don't go anywhere. No, Nachos. I think you were admitting to being a white nigger. Right, I'm back, chat. The painkillers have been imbibed. Well, imbibed. There was imbibication alongside the painkillers. Whatever. I see that you've been proposing to demote Nachos to various levels of roles. The least severe demotion you're proposing is white name. The most severe demotion would be to moderator. The reason to use parry Nachos would be because a lot of people have had reports on their account because of spicy words that they've said, and I don't believe that's right. So I made parry, which basically proxies your message so that you can't get reported for it, but it looks like your post, which you saw happen with my post there when I used nigger in my message. My original message will stay there for a bit, and I can configure how long it stays for, but then after a while, it removes the original message and just keeps the proxied message, which if that's reported, the worst that can happen is one of the spare bots that I use with parry will be removed, but then it'll just switch to the next one. The system automatically switches to the next bot once one is not usable anymore. And eventually I'll ask you guys to provide me more bots for that, actually, if we need to. But so far that hasn't happened. So far it hasn't needed to switch bots. Nacho says, let them report me. Well, the thing with this is that they can, but then it won't do anything. It is actually an anti-censorship system. It defeats it. I don't want you to have to lose your account and make a new one. So that's why it exists. Not hiding. Well, that's fair enough. You don't have to. There is also an anonymizing feature on it, which some people prefer. No worries. There is another thing, chat, with the I am system modification, an improvement I made recently, which means that most roles can be removed from you, even if you don't match the requirements to add them to yourself. So, for example, if you give yourself a role and then you either lose patronage or the requirements for that role change and you want to remove it, like it's an advocacy for something, you want to remove it because you've changed your mind or something, then before it would say you're not allowed to remove it because you don't match the requirements to add it. Now there's an extra feature in there which marks some roles where you can't do that. So like joke roles, for example, you can't do that with those, but most roles you can. So you can remove any role, almost any role, even if you don't match the requirements to give it to yourself. So that may be useful to some of you. The Raise the Colours role, by the way, the England flag, it was for a while free. Now that protest has mostly ended, it is back to being the same tier as the other country flags. So yeah, there you go. All right, and if there's any more decoration roles that you want, any more like icons or colors that you want to be available, let me know, and I'm happy to add them. Even if it's a minor change to an existing color, I may be willing to add it. That's all available. I think we'll end soon here, chat, especially because I am deeply wounded today by my toothache. But we'll Pega, yeah. But we'll probably do one or two more stories. But anything else interesting to cover today? Look, there was something else here. Have a quick look at this. Mike Lee here says, would you like to seize cartel assets as a privateer? My bill would allow the president to issue you a letter of marque. Time to hit these pirates down. This is new. Like, Patriots of the Caribbean. Senator Mike Lee bill authorizes privateers to combat cartels outside U.S. borders. Cartel, Marque, and Reprisal Reauthorization Act. It's hard to argue against it, really. The only question I have is, like, it won't look good for the US if some privateer does something really stupid. But it's a privateer, it won't be too bad. The bill authorizes Trump to commission American operators under letters of marque to seize cartel property in persons on land or sea outside the US. Indeed. Oh yeah, well, I should have a pirate flag, shouldn't I? As an icon. So he's senator, so it's a Senate thing. Didn't know senators could propose bills, actually, but either way, it's happened. Good. Again, like, it could go wrong in terms of really bad optics issues. And if you have this happening, you probably are going to get situations where some people act a bit too cavalier. The use of the word cavalier is for like a regular military, whereas privateer would be a much more appropriate word to use for it, where they are not. But yeah, people might be a bit too liberal with their use of violence and use of force, which, to be fair, it's not like their victims wouldn't deserve it to some extent if they really are cartel, but then that's another problem. What if they're not really cartel? Mistaken identity. It's not going to look good for the US. It's a little different hundreds of years ago. It wasn't all about international optics and ethics standards. It is today. So that's the only thing I'd say is a problem with this. But if we're talking about what is best for wiping out the cartel, this would be pretty fucking effective. And it'd be funny anyway. It's going to be so many fucking memes and so many interesting events occurring. I mean, think of the mercenary groups that will go out there and start doing this, and then one of them will realize, wait, we could monetize this, we could televise this, and suddenly there's going to be everywhere. I mean, when the government's doing it, they're not that motivated to televise it. When the privateers are doing it, and they could do it just for the YouTube channel. Hey, give us some views on the YouTube channel and contribute to our subscriber stars so that we can go out and literally apprehend cartel members. Hell yeah, that sounds fun. I mean, again, things could go wrong. There could be issues with it, but it is a genuine problem, and they're foreign criminals. As long as they make sure that they're going after the right people, yeah, I'm broadly in support of it. Could be a show like Dog of the Bounty Hunter, but on the sea instead. Yeah, pretty much. Make it eatable for most captures. The Cabal Company Privateer Sunday Special. True. Apprehend, yeah. Oh, we accidentally killed one. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it could go too far. But killing them isn't necessarily going too far, especially if it's in self-defense or something. Boat's named the Wizard because it's a magical crab boat, says Ice. Interesting. Time to form a Western Atlantic branch of the Cabal Navy. Sure, why not? The Cabal Navy, by the way, historically has just been Kiki's riverboat. But we can expand beyond that. Waste the colors, indeed. I need money for reasons now. The big nigger must sail. Is that what you'd call your boat, Busak? The big nigger. All right, chat. Press 1 if I should... yes, Revi. Very true. Cool character. Basically Nachos in real life. Press 1 if I should add the Jolly Roger, the pirate flag, as a role that you can obtain in the server. Mars Rutledge is planning to take over part of Haiti. US is legalizing privateering. This is only a bill proposed. It probably won't pass, actually, unfortunately. But fucking hilarious. Yeah, Haiti is ripe for the conquest, to be honest, and it would be better for them if it was conquered. Busak's aircraft carrier, the Giga Nigger. True. When Busak becomes a privateer admiral with a fucking modern aircraft carrier at his command, he'll call it the Giga Nigger. Yeah, can you confirm that, Busak? Thank you. Chat, you've pressed 1 if I should add that flag. I agree. Press 1 again if you don't mind me adding it right now, even if it means like about maybe 30 seconds collectively of not too much engagement with the audience if I have to like go into the settings. Of course I call it the Giga Nigger. Fantastic. 1 again. All right. It's so far 100% of those voting are okay with me adding it now, so I'll do it now. Fun fact, with these roles, you can actually add any image. It doesn't have to be an emoji. What should the role be called? By the way, I can't see chat right now, so don't answering that is not going to help. But that'll do, I guess. That's a silly name. Very silly. But it'll do. There we go. And then choose emoji. Pirate flag. Or meaties. Okay, that is added. Now I just need to add it to the I am system. Give me a moment. Discord decorator, and there's the config. I go to here, there's Swigger. Swigger was the last one I added under this category. I'm going to make this a I mean, it's a slightly lower tier than it usually would be, just for now. But I may raise it later. Discord decorator, restart, and then follow. Okay, it should be available now, chat. If you do /IAM list, you should find that it's in there. Swigger, yes. Swigger is the role that you could obtain. It's on the list right now. If you are a drinker, I believe Nachos gave herself it. I can't remember if Aiden did. No, but you could do. So the Roger Jolly, as I've called it, that role is now available, and it is one tier lower than the role, the available decoration roles of the same kind. There you go. One of you's added it. So close, 8-bit. Should I like? Do I need to make this easier? Is it coming up with the command suggestions when you type in /IAM? Because in order to give yourself the role, you have to do /IAM space so S-O. I'm drunk. All right. I mean, again, you got prime opportunity for the Swigger role, then, isn't it? Chat, press 1 to wish 8-bit a very happy drunken evening. Is it not, JK? That's weird. Have you done Control R since I recommended it? I see a couple of you have tried adding it to yourself, even though you don't currently match the requirements. As I said, I have reduced the requirements, but it does still have patron requirements because Wizard got to eat. And if you wanted to help out the community, if you can afford to, their link there, fund.oozloo.net, will take you to the place where you can get the patron roles necessary to obtain these roles. That is weird, JK, that you're still not seeing it. Do you have the setting on in Discord that changes your input box to be the simple old one that doesn't allow for commands? If so, then I don't think you can use commands at all. You may have to go and check that. It's in the Discord settings. I can't remember what it's called. Other people are getting it, so it could be your end. Then again, you're also a white name, so it might be that. I don't think so. All right, folks. Let's just pick a couple more interesting news stories out, and then we'll wrap up. But if you would like to contribute, then I will go on for longer. Yes, thank you. It is indeed in accessibility. Thank you, Weiss. Use the legacy chat input. I had that on for a while, but they fixed some bugs with it, so I disabled it again. Anyway, let's see what else we've got. That is somewhat interesting. Yeah, there's quite a few things that we could look into here. Oh yeah, this is okay. So there's the Somalia thing. I haven't covered this as well as I would have liked to, but this is related, I think, to it. Not directly, but similar. 2 Haitian men face up to 5 years in prison after being charged with massive SNAP fraud, using small storefronts to receive $500,000 per month, $7 million total.
Massachusetts are charging 2 Haitian men with SNAP fraud now, totaling over $7 million. State officials say the 2 men pulled off the scheme by using small storefronts to redeem SNAP benefits up to $500,000 per month. If convicted, they face up to 5 years in prison, supervised release, and fines. Meanwhile, in Colorado, the Department of Housing and Urban Development is investigating the state's federal Massachusetts.
So yeah, this was going on already. Trump may not be doing all we'd like, but under him, fraud is consistently being discovered, which is good. Yeah, let's have a look at this. There's way more that we could go into with this. I don't think we're going to have time to go into it in great enough detail today, but it's been revealed that there are clan wars going on among Somalis in Minnesota. That's why Mayor Jacob Frey was eating the Somali slop, apparently. It applies to Ilhan Omar's U.S. House election and Frey's Minneapolis mayoral election. They've brought their tribal ways here, he says. A Somali immigrant exposed exactly how it works. Ilhan is in the Darod clan. Her district is home to lots of Darods. They are loyal and vote for her no matter what. In the mayoral election, Omar Fateh was a member of the Darod as well, but the Somalis in Minneapolis who weren't Darods campaigned for Jacob Frey, who won. Quote, it was very evident they were fighting over that. Will Kane says, I guarantee Jacob Frey was playing to the other clans.
President in Somalia. The other two can only run for Speaker of Parliament. And the 0.5, the minorities. Really? Yeah, citizens of Somalia, minorities, they cannot run for office as we speak, and it's a formula. Name any elected Somali official, and they are all in the Darod clan.
Ilhan Omar, she's that clan?
Yes, she's the Darod.
Is Ilhan Omar advantaged in getting Somali votes in Minnesota because she is Daron Way? Did I say it right? Because she's one of these two major clans.
Certainly, yep. Her clan predominantly lives in Minnesota and the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. That's a fact.
Okay.
And there are other clans.
That's her clan.
Yep.
Okay, hold on. Minnesota is largely this clan.
I'm not a fan of this guy. Either way, yeah, that's not great. You rings similar to the Islam problems we have here. It is different, but and obviously it's a different scale. It's worse here, but if you can sort this out, now's the time. And Trump he's doing stuff about it. He's pushing, but maybe he could push harder. I think he's said something along the lines of they all have to go anyway. Many of them were there under something similar to refugee status. Aiden's drinking mouthwash. Careful with that, Aiden.
Based.
And again on Minnesota and Somalis. Oh no, this might not even be about Somalis, actually. Either way, it's the same place. Minnesota sent $18 billion in fraud to the Middle East, he says. That's not actually quite true. What the thing says is a significant portion of the 18 billion was fraud. That doesn't even mean the majority, but a significant portion. First Assistant U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson says $18 billion has been paid out in 14 programs flagged as high risk for fraud in Minnesota since 2018. Quote, the fraud is not small, it isn't isolated, the magnitude cannot be overstated. It's staggering industrial scale fraud. It's swamping Minnesota and calling into question everything we know about our state. So yeah, it's all going to Africa, the Middle East, apparently. At least it's being discovered. Credit to the US, at least it's being discovered. It's easy to say when something like this is found, they're so terrible, but imagine all the countries that are doing this where it hasn't been found. There's very few countries that are economically comparable to the US. That's more apparent when we're talking about Europe, given the scale. But there probably are other places in the West where this is happening. It hasn't been discovered. Same thing I say when things are discovered here or in Germany or in France. But yeah. Was it that, JK? Okay, that's probably it then. That was the only other thing it could be, really. Unless you were just retarded, which it turns out you're not. Well done. Congratulations. Despite being black, there are some of them.
Of course, which... They're black, of course, which is a shame.
Thank you, Rowan. Where was I? Yeah, let's have a fun story to end with. Trucker returns to find trailer loaded with $16 million worth of cocaine at truck stop. Oh, I don't know what happened, officer. It just showed up. Well, maybe that is what happened. A trucker returned to find his trailer loaded with cocaine worth millions of dollars after stopping at an Indiana truck stop. According to WXIN, authorities in Indiana are still searching for suspects after a large amount of cocaine was discovered in a semi-trailer at a pilot travel center in Whiteland, Indiana. Whiteland, appropriate for cocaine. Law enforcement, not because whites have it, because it is white. In Whiteland, responded to the pilot travel center in East County Road at approximately 5 p.m. receiving a report of suspicious activity. When speaking with officers, the trucker said he was performing a pre-trip inspection when he noticed that the seal on his trailer had been tampered with. WAXIN stated. Officers investigated and after opening the trailer, reportedly discovered 10 boxes that were not part of the driver's original load. I mean, if you were going to do this, and then you deliberately self-report to the police, that would be pretty fucking stupid. So hell, maybe it wasn't his. The cocaine seized was believed to have been an estimated value of $16 million. Maybe this is just a way to get it into the FBI's or the CIA's hands, but there's probably easier ways. Authorities noted that the quantity of cocaine created a security concern because there wasn't enough space to store it in the evidence room. Oh no, we're going to have to consume some of it. WISH-TV reported that the seizure is believed to be one of the largest cocaine confiscations in Indiana's history. Wow. No suspects have been taken into custody in connection with the incident, according to WXIN. Authorities also told the outlet that investigators no longer have possession of the cocaine as it was scheduled to be destroyed. Oh, okay. That is strange. Did nothing in here about the authorities saying, no, it actually wasn't his. Like the evidence suggests it wasn't him that did this. The evidence suggests someone else was involved, but we can't figure out who. I mean, it could have been inserted in the lorry ages ago, long time before it happened. He was doing the check and found the seal was broken, assuming he's telling the truth. But how long before that was his last check? Could have been any time. So, yeah. Fun story. It very well may be that it was smuggled into his lorry, but then what was the plan on the other end? Was someone going to pick it up on the other end? But whenever they opened the lorry, surely it would be immediately exposed to whatever legitimate customer they were traveling with or taking it to. But then why did he self-report if it was his? It's very strange. Maybe someone was trying to get him taken out, actually. In which case it was... I mean, it's strange for him to believe that he wouldn't be. That they wouldn't assume it was his. Hey, officer, I found something in my lorry. This is your lorry, sir. Yes. Why does it contain $60 million worth of cocaine? It wasn't mine, officer, I swear. No, who's going to fucking believe that? Apparently the police do. Maybe it's true as well. They put it in the wrong truck. That's arguably the most likely answer. Bonds as a bust that large wasn't intended to get nabbed. No, I guess not.
I'm going to say that I'll believe that he genuinely, that cocaine, he wasn't connected to it. And the reason why I say that is simply because who the fuck reports themselves having that much cocaine?
Who the fuck reports themselves having that much cocaine, even if it's not theirs? Crazy. Sipobi says, the people who discovered this will be called racist. Oh, you mean the previous one with the Somalis, or do you mean this one? No, you do mean this one. And we'll get memory hold, just like when the far right mentioned this years ago, but no one listened to those racists. What do you mean? Which story are you talking about? Maybe you do mean the last story, actually. The fraud? Which one do you mean? The Somalis. Okay. I mean, it's not hard to figure it out. Getting it through from the belief of people on the internet, not just one class of person on the internet was aware of this kind of thing happening. Getting it through from there to political action takes longer. It's always going to take longer. I'll notice, though, it wasn't the far right, as you would put it, who actually did something about it. Busak says, Uzlu never worked a day in shipping and receiving in his life, and it shows. I must admit, it's not my area, Busak. I don't think that's too much of an indictment on me. I would happily admit that I've never worked a day in my life in those specific areas. I'm guessing there are some areas you haven't worked a day in your life in either. Busak says, you don't realize truckers don't load their own rigs. Fine. I didn't assume that they had an eye over the entire process or that they did it manually themselves, but I would assume that they'd at least see it happening, but I guess not. Who the fuck gives away cocaine? Yeah, so it probably was intended to be transported by some other means. Some fucking drug lord is not happy right now. He's looking at this picture and saying, that's my fucking coke! And has probably already killed some underling. Fun. Some people are dying. Yeah, I think so. I think they are. Free coke for everyone, says JK. Probably so there were witnesses that he wasn't stealing anything out of it. What do you mean by that? That underling fucking deserves it. To be honest, understandable. Understandable, yeah. All right, chat. I think we'll wrap it up there. There is a bit more news, but perhaps what we'll do is we'll head down to Pit 1, and then after a short time, or perhaps in Pit 1, we'll find something to play, especially if you'd be interested in watching some Rowan Atkinson. I can put on some Blackadder. I can put on some of his sketches. I think the 9 o'clock news is decent as well, though it's him and others as well. Or we could find something else to watch. We'll figure it out. Anyway, thank you for joining me, chat. And please do join me tomorrow for the big Lord of the Rings watch event in Cabal. The fact that it's on a weekend should mean that the time zone will be a bit kinder to you. It's 9 p.m., which is 4 p.m. Eastern US time, and I think 1 p.m. Western US time, roughly. There might be a plus or minus 1 there, given daylight savings. I don't know how that works exactly. But the time should show on the event for you. It should be in your local time. Click interested and you'll get an alert when it starts. Who set that, Wolf? Oh, was it you? Well, fair enough. So there you go. Hopefully you'll join me for that. It'll be a good time. Yes, indeed, Ola. And that's tomorrow. Well, today for my time zone, but tomorrow approximately. So yeah, join me for that. And then the next day we'll do the final movie. If someone wants to queue up another movie to go after that, we could do. Although it's a hard act to follow, isn't it? Lord of the Rings, hard act to follow. And then at some point soon we'll do the appendices as well. Probably sometime next year. Right. Thank you, chat. Yes, true, Wolf, true. Thank you, chat. I will wrap it up there, and I'll see you in Pit 1. Good night, everyone.